What is going on, everyone? Creepy Kentuckian here.
I had to unmute my mic.
I'm Uncle Bill. And we got a...
That really made me almost want to tear up, the old Saturday Nightmares theme.
Yeah. We first Saturday Nightmares in a while, and we got some guests on here. Who we got? First up.
Wow.
Woo!
It's like the Brady Bunch.
Who the fuck is this, and how did you get this feed?
Did we interrupt a Pornhub session or something, Sleepy? What's going on?
No. I use X videos.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And the man himself, the Don.
Hello.
Of Synapse Films, Don May Jr. What's going on?
Not much. Glad to be back. Seems like only yesterday I was here.
It wasn't that, yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well,
Wasn't that
no,
long ago.
No.
And we're still getting asked the same question, Don.
Well, I'll
every
give the
week.
same answers. I'll give some
Every damn week.
answers, baby.
Yeah, don't let him fool you. He's doing the original unedited versions of Star Wars. He's just not going to tell you.
I know.
I'm going to spoil all his shit.
That would be.
I found the negative.
Yeah.
Is that just never going to happen now, or what? What's the deal?
It will happen someday. Trust me.
Yeah, probably.
When they need to milk some more money from Star Wars, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be on the Disney Movie Club, probably.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
For $30.
yeah. Along with the Black
On Disney
Cauldron
Plus.
and,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck else they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy. Like, I was looking into that because there's a couple of titles that they had announced for that, and it's exactly like Columbia House was.
It
back in
is. It's
day.
the same damn deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
except
like
much more expensive.
It's like some sort of legal binding agreement and all that you have to go through, and I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So
Watch them on Disney Plus.
So I guess was it June, July? We had Dawn on talking about
Probably.
a lot of stuff, and I thought it would be a good follow up because there were. I know we asked you about some titles that people wanted to know, but there was just so many that people were constantly, flooding the chat with. That was a very popular chat that night too. So
Thank you. Yeah, I got a lot of compliments from people who watched it and listened to it. So
yeah,
good stuff.
definitely. And then I guess just a couple of days later is when the announcement on the Demons set came out, which you kind of hinted at. And I think that you'd posted something sort of vague on Facebook beforehand, but we didn't talk about that at all.
No, So no, it's still October 19th, and those who bought it from our website will get it much earlier. Hint, hint, hint. So anybody who buys it direct from us on our website is going to get it a lot sooner than the people who ordered from Amazon and whatnot. It's one of the bonuses of buying direct from us.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. I didn't buy it from fucking... I'm not right across the street from you. Bullshit. I better get mine quicker than anybody else.
You'll have to come over next week.
Fine. I literally, guys, if there was a way to do it without there's a retaining wall on the street that runs out by my house, I could literally walk to his office.
He could walk to my office.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how close they are. So, yeah, I better get a copy before everybody. Fuck that.
You probably already have your copy, Sleepy.
No, I do not.
I don't have mine yet, but they're coming.
Well, I'm less concerned about whether you have a copy or not. So,
What's funny is a buddy of ours that helps out with the show, Steve. The Demons movies, he's got like some sort of odd fascination with those movies. He has bought version after version after version. And this is the second batch of 4Ks that's come out. Are there any differences between the Aero version and the Synapse versions coming out?
Yeah, one of the things when we got the titles, one of the things that the fans, because I didn't buy the Aero ones because I didn't get it, and they said, hey, if you're doing these, can you fix the mono US audio on Demons because it doesn't sound so good. So we're like, okay. So we've remastered that. And the 2-channel audio on Demons 2 which I hadn't seen theirs, but some people told us that it was in mono and not stereo. So we remastered that and so our Demons 2 channel will be in stereo. And then we've added a lot of the extras from our discs, the previous steelbooks, as well as some of the Aero extras that we got from them too. So they're pretty loaded, and they look really, really nice, and they sound great. So hopefully people will buy them up.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it was a fun project, and a lot of people said, "Hey, your previous Blu-rays were awesome, but I have to say these new versions look so much." I mean, I can't believe that the Dolby Vision and the color in the 4K actually made that much of a difference, but it really does. At the end of the day, the color palette on Demons is incredible in 4K.
Yeah, but Don, I only want Demons 2. Why do I have to buy the first Demons? I mean, this is bullshit. I'm so boycotting.
I'll give you a check disc of Demons 2, so that's the only one you'll get.
But that won't have the cover art, and I need the cover art, and I need all that. Come on. This is bullshit. I'm so boycotting Synapse Films after all this.
I'll be sure to get you a perfect slipcover without any imperfections on it.
I'm bringing my magnifying glass to check that shit out.
Right, yep.
Slipcovers slipcovers are it. Yeah, the slipcovers are all the rage.
Right.
I've never had a problem. I mean, it's the slipcover is sealed, and then the steelbook is sealed separately. So
yeah, that is pretty
had
amazing.
issues, and I'm pretty picky.
Yeah. Well, these are all going to be nicely. We never used to shrink wrap the slipcovers over the discs, but I was talking to Jesse at Diabolic DVD, and he said, "You know what? Just shrink wrap over them because they get bent, they get dent." You know what? And he was right. So because of Jesse, we were shrink wrapping everything together into a nice package, because he said that it. They get easily damaged, or they get imperfections on them if you don't have the shrink wrap on them. So that's what we're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, because people are getting them graded and shit now and selling them for like $250. So it's like, Jesus.
I know they're coming. I've seen VHSs in those plastic things they used to put baseball cards into, where they're screwed shut.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want to live in this world anymore. I'm so done with it.
No, you don't, because I was looking on there, and it's like they've got a Bloodsport VHS that's graded like a 9. It's going for like $500. Like, who the hell?
Bloodsport? Really?
Who the hell is going to what are you going to do with it?
I mean, other than look at it and go, "Oh, I wasted my life."
Bloodsport.
I frequent the Goodwill stores, and I have found new old stock VHS tapes, right, where I didn't know what to put on it. It was stuff like 9 to 5 and Baby Boom and stuff like that. So I put $35 on Baby Boom, and it sold within 5 minutes.
Jesus Christ!
And because somewhere out there, it's just like, I'll never be able to get a sealed CBS Fox version of VHS of Baby Boom for anything less than $500. Why, God?
Yeah.
The whole cottage industry of people getting VHS tapes graded, buying them from the Goodwill.
Yeah, but I was like, I could have probably sold it for $100 or something.
You probably could, because people are nuts.
Yeah.
The VHS thing. I maybe I can sell my beta tape of my Nocturna. I've got a beta.
Oh God,
of
you got the Media Nocturna? Or?
It's Meta.
The Meta.
It's not even spelled Media.
Shit, you could buy a house with that bitch. Are you
It's sitting right in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, we were talking about Laserdisc last show. You can't really make new Laserdisc. You can make new VHS tapes.
Yeah. I wanted to make new Laserdiscs, but I was given the big no by everybody. Even in Japan, the machines are all shut down. Because I thought it would be kind of fun to do like a short run of a Laserdisc of some type. And we were just told, no way, can't do it anymore. All the machines are done, all the factories are closed, and that's it. And that's a shame, because it would be kind of cool to do like a like a 500 piece run of like a Laserdisc of Suspiria or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can't. But yeah, VHS still around.
Now you can do a VHS tape and you can have a cassette tape for the soundtrack.
Right.
And sell them together. There'll be all kinds of hipsters will buy that.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? That might not be a bad idea. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, man. I gotta love hipsters. Thanks. You know.
Oh.
Well, I did order my Blood Harvest record from Vinegar Syndrome. I had to have it, so.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's
I'm one of
fine.
those
That's good
hipsters.
Is it like an actual 12-inch vinyl, or is
No,
it like a small?
it's a single of the theme song. I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think it's like 7-inch vinyl.
Yeah, it's just a 7-inch
cool.
single. So they do stuff like that from time to time, and usually it's a very limited run of like 50 copies or whatever.
Right.
It's gone. But yeah, the limited thing is sort of. I mean, it's kind of the go-to now. Everything's limited.
Yeah.
Where do you think that first started with?
I can tell Slippy
Anchor
just
Anchor
loves
Bay-
that trend.
Anchor Bay's limited editions was like 90,000 or something.
Well, yeah,
I
we
know.
did.
Well,
Well,
don't forget, we did a 25,000 limited edition of Thriller. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sold the shit out of that, I remember, because it was
Yeah.
at cons and everything.
Yeah, and Best Buy even took the yellow cover one. We had to delete the sex out of it, but Best Buy was wanting it so bad just because of the Quentin Tarantino connection that we actually went and we made the R-rated version out of the negative that we had, and they brought it into Best Buy even. It was back in those days, you know, Best Buy was bringing in everything. But no,
we talk about.
was,
You remember the guinea pig films? They had those. Best Buy.
Sure. Yeah, it was. Well,
That's some crazy shit.
we had Vampiros Lesbos in Best Buy, and they reordered it like 3 or 4 times. You know,
Right.
it's crazy.
So,
You know,
but from what I can tell, like 5,000 is a limited edition now. 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes 10,000 if it's a big title.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
even
it
then,
depends.
it's like,
It
you know.
depends, really.
But I remember
Sometimes-
back at Anchor Bay, we would do like 50,000 units and stuff. And I remember the Book of the Dead was like 200,000 limited. and I remember saying, I was like, are we ever really going to say? And I remember our marketing manager at the time said, well, it doesn't really very limited. Said, no, it is a limited edition. It's limited to how many we can sell.
That's exactly it.
That's exactly
And
it.
it's like, oh, that's bullshit, right? Well,
Right.
I guess it is, but what are you going to do?
That's-
Slippy, were you around for this?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this? Because this
I
is
love
probably like...
I love that set. I think I had, or my friend had, like a number 4 for the longest time. Or the number. Actually, I think my friend Mike might have number 1 because I remember he helped design that. But the problem with the Wicker Man box is that eventually the wood warped a little bit, so it wouldn't quite close all the way.
right.
And now, see, that was the problem is all these things that I did help do back then. I mean, I didn't do it myself. Obviously, I was part of a big team, but all these limited editions, all these books, these things are 20 years old now. The Books of the Dead are falling the fuck apart in people's collections.
Yeah,
and
they stink.
yeah,
They're-
just like,
yeah.
you know, I said, but then I think, it can't be 20 years. Oh, fuck, it is. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I've still got the Book of the Dead for part. Well, you did one for 1 and one for 2, right?
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, I've still got those, and it's like I walk into the room and it's like, oof. You know,
man,
the latex
we
is-
were getting high off those things when they first came in the office.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? We were taking big huffs of through the little holes in the plastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's this thing where people will make videos of them where like whatever's on the inside of them is coming out now, like the foam or whatever's on it.
Yeah.
So they're just like exploding in people's collections.
Yeah,
I
dust
know.
getting dusty. Yeah, it's like corroding.
We never thought 20 years down the line. You know, we figured, just like, hey, we're just lucky to get these things at the door. Let
Right.
alone, worry about 20 years down the fucking line.
Where did you find a company to make those, by the way?
The Book of the Dead, that was a company in China. This is back in 2002, so we were communicating with a company in New York who was then sending instructions to China. So this took a year because we would get, these pages are wrong in order and we need to slip a DVD on this page and blah, blah, blah. And we would get something back and they would fix 5 things, and then 4 other things they had previously fixed would be incorrect. And so we would need to keep going back and forth and back and forth. And the most near disastrous thing was when they sent us a book that looked almost 100% ready to go. It's like, oh my God, they got it. And if you have a book, it's the hard outer cover with the rubber on it, and then there's pages on the middle, like a group of pages in the middle of it. Well, they had just stapled it 3 times into the backing board, and I remember it was starting to feel a little loose. And as I'm literally holding the book and kind of pulling on one of the pages, all the pages pop out of the book, and I'm like, okay, 3, this isn't going to work. And I go up to, we were actually having a marketing meeting. And we were going through all the new samples of the Book of the Dead that had come in. And I got to let people know about this. So I walk in there and I sit down and say, guys, just before we celebrate, we got to fix this. We got to have them stitch this in there or something because these staples aren't going to do it. And I remember someone was like, well, it'll hold well enough. I mean, people aren't going to be doing so. No, we've got room for autographs and stuff in this. You don't understand. People are going to take these things everywhere. And I said, and people are kind of going back and forth. And so I held all the pages in my hand, leaving the book, the cover kind of free, and I just went like this. Whoop, cover flies off, goes down the conference table towards the end of the table, and everyone just goes, okay, yeah, no, we got to fix that. It would have been a disaster. So that was a process. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Wicker Man box there, I think that was an easy one. It's a cigar box, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, all those things were made overseas. A couple of those were made before my time, but a lot of that stuff was overseas. And again, this is way back before you could do so much of this stuff electronically. You had to make phone calls and faxes, and you're dealing with an intermediary between yourself and China. And looking back at it, it's a miracle any of this stuff got done at all, because it was a wild west to try to in terms of trying to figure this shit out. So
that has to be one of the most unique ones, though.
That one was. And it was. We kept trying to top it, which kind of hurt us a little bit in the end, because it's like we can't really top that because it's a prop that's the right size, and it was just like everything came together on that one. And then it was like, well, for Day of the Dead, how are we going to top the Book of the Dead? And my argument always was, we can't, so let's not try to. Let's try to do something that works for this. And it hung us up on the Dawn of the Dead box Ultimate Edition, because we're like, this has to be, we have to do bigger than and we were trying to come up with, like, we were going to do a black velvet thing at one point, and it was this whole shebang-a-bang, and eventually we found out at the last minute the costs weren't going to work out, and my designer on that, well, it wasn't my project, but the designer, Mike Ortiz, on that, literally had 2 days to completely construct an entire design for that thing and get it out the door for Monday. So that whole thing, the Dawn of the Dead Book of the Dead, or the Dawn of the Dead Ultimate Edition, was literally put together from scratch in like 48 hours.
Wow.
It's actually one of my favorite designs too.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful, because what was great about it is we didn't have time to micromanage it. We didn't have the time. So we just went minimalist, 2-color, put the logo on the thing on the back, and the thing, it's like a boom, 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 and it was out the door before anyone could really go around and fuck it up. Because sometimes the covers would route through Anchor Bay, and it would start off looking really great, and by the time the notes came back on it, you're like, what the fuck do they want us to do to this thing? Because there were some covers in the late stages, especially while I was there, that were really awful.
Evil Speak.
That was one. Race with the Devil. Race with the Devil was another terrible one.
Evil Speak is my favorite.
Yeah, because Evil Speak. And it wasn't the designer's fault. It was the marching orders, because at some point, someone got it in their head that illustrated covers don't sell. So no illustrations, has to be photos only. And I'm like, huh? And so we ended up with this crap.
I mean, just use the poster for Evil Speak. It's beautiful. And then they put that green blob on the cover, and I look at this and I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this?
I don't know.
Race with the Devil was just like pictures of the cast, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, with like a fire thing in
the van.
Oh, it was horrible.
You didn't know what the movie was beforehand. You were not buying.
No,
it was just horrible. And there were so many of those covers where, like, Cut and Run was my least favorite.
Oh God, that was brutal.
It was like blue.
Yeah, there was. It looked like a Miami Vice ripoff at the end of the day, and it's like, why don't we use the foreign art with Michael Berryman with the big machete? It's one of the most impressive. I mean, that thing people would love that. It's like, no illustrated covers. and then we end up with that shit. It's just like, they were, and it was frustrating for the people in the graphics department because it's like, we don't want this either. We're having to put together all these incongruous notes which don't make any sense whatsoever and are not complementary to each other either. Like 4 people want 4 different things, and I can't possibly put them all on this cover without it completely looking like shit. So it ended up like shit.
Yeah.
To tell you, I took the Scream approach to it, where like that was the first movie I can really remember where it was like just the heads of everybody that was in the movie,
like the 4 heads up on the top. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. Even in the stuff that I do now, it's when I don't get notes from the legal departments of the studios or the distributors I work with very often, or sometimes it's like you can't have her say that or for legal reasons. But in terms of creative notes, I don't get that many. But when I do get them, usually they're constructive. It's like, oh, I understand what they're asking for, what they want here, and so it doesn't affect it makes the piece better. But then I've had instances where I did a featurette with someone once for a project, and the guy came back to me and said, I like it a lot, but the guy's wearing a hat in the interview. and is there something we could do about the hat? Because I feel like it's all about the hat. And I'm looking at him like, what the fuck do you want me to do? He's wearing a hat in the interview. I can't, what do you want me to put a black bar over the fucking hat?
Yeah, digitally erase that hat.
I was like, what do you want me to do? And I was just like, and it reminded me, one of my favorite stories I ever got told was from a composer, this was years ago, it's almost like right back when I got started. He was talking about, he was doing a scoring session with a director that he'd worked with before, and it was going really well, and they're in the studio, and they're listening, and say, oh, that was really great. And this one producer who had been on the movie that no one liked, and the director was really tired of, he came in, he was at the scoring session, and came in, and they asked, oh, what did you think? And he was like, yeah, man, I really liked it. It was cool, but I don't know, man, I still feel like it's missing something. And both the director and the composer are like, okay, what do you think? What's the problem? Well, it's like, I don't know. It's like you're giving me a Wednesday, but I really need a Thursday. And the composer's like, what the fuck? And this director, who apparently is like one of the most even-keeled, low-key guys ever, never got upset with anybody. This is the first time the composer said he ever saw the guy do this. He just looked at this producer and went, what the fuck does that supposed to mean? How the fuck am I supposed to take a note? Like, what, Wednesday to Thursday, get the fuck out. And he threw the producer out of the scoring session. He said, get the fuck out of here. If I ever see you again, I'm going to knock your teeth. I mean, he was just like, and I asked him, I said, what happened after that? He said, well, the director finished the film with me, and we never saw that producer again, so I don't know what the hell happened after that. But it's like, what are you supposed to do with that? A note like that, So yeah, fortunately I don't get notes like even with Don, if there is a problem or anything,
I just call him and yell at him.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, fuck you, and I hang up, and that's, the end of the day. Or I just stick my head out the window and go, fuck you, and
yell across the road.
Got 2 Dixie cups, you run like TJ's house.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Fuck you. But no.
This is one, though, we didn't ask you about, Don. From James Hester, does Synapse have the 4K rights for Tenebrae?
I have the 8K rights to Tenebrae.
That's all you need.
Ooh. That's a lot of K, mister.
So we finally have something to watch on those 8K
Probably not.
Listen how braggy he's being. I have 4K. I got the 8K.
Well, let me clarify that question. When you buy the rights to something like Tenebrae or any movie, we can, as long as it falls, usually if it falls within our time frame of how long we have the movie, we can do it in whatever format we want. So do we have the 4K rights to Tenebrae? Yes, we do. Are we doing Tenebrae in 4K? You'll have to wait and see.
Yes, I certainly hope you are. Okay, I'm going to put this up because this is the 4th time we've had this question since we've been doing this. And probably I get this question, or we get this question every single week. So here you go, Don. Please.
Yes, I
God.
do. Okay,
all things
you
holy.
asked me this before. Here's the update, and I told Mike this. I'm done with the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is done. It's now just going through the QC of do the navigations work? Does everything go where it's supposed to when you click the button, the menuing and everything else? My authoring guy went on vacation for 2 weeks and didn't get me the DVD version before he left. So he got back on, what is today? Today's Saturday. He got back on Thursday, and I said, you think I can get the DVD version of The Kindred by next week? And he said, probably. So that's the update. So if we...
maybe, probably.
Yeah, so the Blu-ray, for all intents and purposes, is finished outside of just making sure that the menus and the navigations work. And once that's all locked in, they build the DVD version from that same build in the software. So once all those navigations are fixed, and we know that Chapter 6 goes to Chapter 6 and not to Chapter 9, and you click one of the audio tracks doesn't go to the commentary instead of the 5.1. Once all that is wrapped up, then the DVD is made, and then I have to go through the DVD, watching the movie with the soundtracks and the commentaries, and watching Mike's amazing extras again in 480p, and then we should be ready to announce. So I will say this: the listing with. You know how we usually do our limited editions, where I'll say, hey, we'll announce something in Rue Morgue, and then we'll say, hey, at 10:30 on Tuesday, after Rue Morgue does their little, spiel about the film, then we hit the button on our website and it goes live for everybody to order. It's already up on the website waiting for me to hit the button. So we're almost ready to go with it.
Hit the button. Hit the
button. I could hit the button right now for the DEADPIT guy, the fans, and then I could turn it off after DEADPIT is over.
Get the first.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't piss anybody off at all. No.
I could hit it. You could hit the on button, and then everybody listening and watching this can order it, and then I'll turn it off.
Yeah, this one's been a long time in coming, and none of this was Don's fault. There were just a lot of legal hurdles that had to be cleared, and this movie's just had a lot of bad luck.
But it's all it took the bad situation turned into a good situation because we ended up with the film anyway, and it's been 15 years, I think, since we announced it.
Yeah,
and for 13 of those years.
I remember it was back in 06.
It was 81 years.
2018.
I know, right? We were ready to go. We thought we were ready to go, and then it was out of our hands. All the legal mumbo jumbo and everything that went on was not up to us, and so we're like, wait. And then when the rights, when Charlie Meeker, God bless him, called us up and said, okay, guys, we're ready to go. And I get the master, and I realize the master is now 12 years old, and I could improve it because the technology has changed so much in the 12 years since the master was made. Scanners are better, editors are better, color correction is better, everything, cleanup, restoration is better. And I looked at the master and I said, what's another 2 years? Let's fucking do it again. So we scanned it again, and we started over, and I went back and I redid everything from scratch, cleaning it up, rescanning it with a better scanner, doing the 5.1, getting everything together. So I was like, what the hell? It's been 13 years. What's another couple of years? I mean, honestly,
you've got a point.
To make the fans like it more, it's me, basically. I mean, we could have put it out the other way, but I looked at the master and I was like, nah, no, this is it's very old. And you see it, like when you buy a DVD from like an MGM or like a Warner Master, and you can just see that it's older, It's not the quality of something new. And I just saw that with the Kindred, and I said, I can't do it. We just have to start over. And there was
actually a couple of delays that benefited me because I had already done completed the featurette when I thought it was going to come out the first time, a couple years ago before Don decided to retransfer it. And I, locked it all down. It was all edited. It was all finished. And then there was the delay, and I thought, well, I kind of forgot about it for a little bit. But then towards the end, when Don was getting ready to wrap up the new transfer, I thought, well, wait, is there still time? It might be worth reaching back out to see if I can get Amanda Pays for the featurette, because I hadn't gotten her before. The word had come back that she wasn't interested. But I had a new contact with her that had come up, so I figured, why not? And she said yes. So I was able to go out to upstate New York, and I interviewed her out there. She was delightful and was great, and so I got to include her on the documentary and re-edit the whole piece, and I added a couple things back in, and I got a second bite at the apple on that, which is sometimes you don't normally get because of deadlines and stuff like that. So this is another situation where the delay actually helped out quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and his documentary is awesome too.
You said it was like a feature length, right?
It's
well,
like
it's
an hour
50,
long. It's an hour
50
long.
some minutes, yeah. But then
there's
you also
there's a lot of good stuff in there, because we got we got her, we got the lead actor, director, writer, editor, co-producer, the effects guys. I mean, there's some great stuff on the effects and how the creatures are put together, and then also the film. It's not much longer, but it's a couple seconds longer than any version that's ever been released before.
Two or three scenes are longer in ours than they were here in the U.S. There's a scene with the watermelon where the tentacle goes up the bridge of the woman's nose into her brain, which I don't believe that's in the R-rated version.
No, it's not, no.
And then there's a scene at the end where a creature has something in its mouth, and he pulls down, and he splits
splits down the jaw,
splits down his whole insides. So there's some uncut gore that was in the element that we had.
Yeah,
so I was like,
and in watching this movie again, it's a really good monster movie. I mean, it's really, I had forgotten how strong the movie was, but watching the new transfer again, it's like, oh man, there's colors and delineation, and I can still, the blacks are not just blacks because the transfer's crushed. It's like, oh no, there's actually supposed to be some detail in there and stuff, and it's a really, really good. I mean, it delivers the goods. It really does. Yeah,
I was surprised at how beautiful the element was, and going back and kind of doing my own thing with it. And it's a lot. And I'll tell you, even though she's only in the movie for a short time, Kim Hunter is insanely good in the movie. Yeah. She's got scenes with Rod Steiger, and it's like just seeing those two on screen together. It's like, holy shit, this is this little horror movie, but you got these two Oscar winners in it, and they're going at each other. They're fighting, and it's so good. I mean, it was just having Rod Steiger and her in scenes together must have been insane to watch on set.
Hit the button.
Yeah, listen. Whenever this thing comes out,
right now,
I'll review the hell out of it. Whatever. You'll never see anything get reviewed anyway.
I got the Blu-ray sitting in the other room, but yeah. So no, it's going to be.
Though it's been long enough. Instead of doing the Blu-ray DVD combo, just do a Blu-ray 4K combo on it. Fuck it.
Yeah, nah, you know what? 4Ks are still. It took Criterion how long to embrace 4K? It's still not, there's still a lot of the sales are, I mean, we did Suspiria because Suspiria, duh, but anything else, it's just kind of like, well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. And there's a lot of expenses that go into making 4Ks. You got to go back and redo the color. You got to go back. You also have to, if you didn't before, you have to go back and because 4K restoration is a lot more than 2K restoration. And then you have to go in and do the Dolby Vision or the HDR pass. And there's a lot of expenses involved with doing stuff like that. Plus the replication is not the same price as a Blu-ray, so there's a lot that goes into making a 4K. You really have to, you can't just say, how come this isn't in 4K? You have to really think about it. And you have to say, well, because we're not going to sell enough to justify the extra money. But we'll see. I mean, 4K is getting, it's not quite there yet. but it's getting there. Maybe in a couple of years, more people will start to embrace it, and we'll see a lot more from the independent studios coming out in 4K. My problem is I try to make everything so damn perfect. There's a lot of studios that just, throw it out and put it on 4K.
Put 2K out in 4K and VHS out on
up-resing
Bluray
stuff. Yeah, exactly. So, for me, it's like, how much is this going to cost?
I mean, you could put Lucker the Necrophagist out on Blu-ray and somebody would buy it.
Yeah, I guess.
I want Home Sweet Home in 4K.
Yeah.
Shit.
The Milpitas monster in 4K.
Oh, yeah,
Come on. Yeah.
Never see him inject PCP into his tongue any clearer than you will.
That one needs to come out, though. I don't know if it's lost or what, but that's...
Which one?
Home Sweet Home.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
That's a fun...
Didn't we do a live commentary for that at one of the Fright Night Film Fests?
Yes, we did.
Jesus.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it was... Basically, we just sat there going, God, this movie sucks.
That was exactly it. Yeah.
Well, there's the part where he runs over the old lady, too. I love that for some reason. It's like a freeze frame of this old woman, like, the camera zooms up on her, and it's like, I don't know. It's so good, it's great, or it's so bad, it's great, actually.
But there's there's tons of people asking questions on here. Let's do a couple of them.
I see the crocodile. Yeah, the crocodile, we're almost done. The problem with that one was I did wait to see if we could get the director. Somebody approached us months ago and said, I know the guy. Do you want me to do an interview with him? Maybe I could get a video interview with him or get a commentary with him. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And then I never heard a word. And then he passed away. And I often think maybe he was just sick, and we ended up losing him because, he was ill maybe. But I never heard back from that person that said, hey, I can do this. And there was somebody else involved with the movie that they tried to get to, and that person was hesitant to talk to them or something. My brain might be a little foggy, but I think there was the director and then someone else, and neither one of them really kind of wanted to, they never, nothing ever happened with it. But with Crocodile, I tried for the longest time to get the version that was out overseas. There was that other, Crocodile has a U.S. cut, and then there's the nasty cut that has like the animal violence in it, with the monkey being eaten and all that stuff, and it's, the U.S. version is its own animal. It's re-edited and has extra stuff, and the beginning is different and all that. And we went to the film industry over there, and because they said, oh, we have an archive of every movie that's made here. And we have Crocodile somewhere, I'm sure. And we went to the Film Institute over there, and they of course they have every other film that was made in that country except for Crocodile. So we weren't able to get that version, but we might have secured somebody who has a VHS tape of that version, and maybe we'll take the scenes that are different and put them in the extras or something like that, so that people can see the alternate footage. But it's coming. But we just, with the Kindred coming in, and then Tombs of the Blind Dead and stuff like that, Crocodile kind of went by the wayside because I was waiting to hear from the director, and now he's gone. There's another question. Tombs of the Blind Dead is playing at Beyond Fest October 3rd. So if anybody is in the LA area and you want to go see it, the new restoration, go to Beyond Fest. Go to the Beyond Fest website, check it out. I think it's playing on October 3rd there. So we're playing it in a few theaters. We just played it at Horror Hound last weekend, and we played it at Fantasia in Montreal this year. And we've got some other bookings maybe coming up, and then we'll have details on the release, hopefully around December. So people can stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Is that one that you're gonna do in 4K, or is it Blu-ray, or
the licensor? The licensor gave us the files for the Blu-ray, the scan for the Blu-ray. They are required to give us the 4K. They have not delivered the 4K to us yet. But I had so much work to do with the files that they gave me, as Mike knows. The files were a bit of a mess. So it's going to take...
I've seen it work. Every now and then I'll go over to the office and he'll show me the latest update on what Toombs had to go through. And also, Don, can I talk about the shorter version at all? Or?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to include the U.S. cut of the movie on there as well. And I actually was the one who had to take the new master and recut to create the U.S. version. And it was interesting because it moves the sequence, basically the whole sequence of the dad killing all the people. It moves it to the beginning of the movie, and it cuts a few other things out here and there, mostly for violence. But in some ways, I actually think it works better that way, which is odd because usually that's not how it works. But I did discover, comparing it to, because they had a scan of an old 35mm print, I think, of the theatrical version from here.
Yeah.
And comparing it to what Don's been doing with this thing. But we discovered it was weird. Like, every now and then, because the company that delivered it to us, they already done a cleanup pass on it, which is always a bad sign.
Yeah, and I never like that when somebody says, I've got a restoration that we've already done. And I'm always like
oh, yeah. Because you can tell
they never do it right.
They always do an auto pass on it. And, and that's fine. Except they usually have the setting set up way too sensitive. So there was a couple moments like where a character passed a cigarette from one person to another. He reaches out, cigarettes there, and as he's taking it back, the cigarette just fucking disappears. And it goes all the way to here. And you're like, the cigarette disappeared. Did anyone not pick this up? So Don had to go back in and, I don't know.
Yeah, we asked them, I had to get the scan from Germany, the raw scan, and make them give me, and I had to go back in and fix all that crap. And I was just like, I can't believe that you would give this to me. It was just, I couldn't believe it, and this is what happens sometimes, and why it takes longer for me to do things is because we get offered movies that are already done all the time, and they always have issues like this, and they, and they just run the restoration, and then you get like necklaces vanishing, eyeballs disappearing. I mean, I wrote about it in our Tenebrae steelbook. I wrote about how awful the Tenebrae scan was that we got. And I had pictures in the booklet where I was like, here's what it looked like before, and here's what, we had to do. It was a very
I remember on Massacre at Central High, car antennas disappearing left and right.
Right, yeah. I had to go back in and get the scan and put it all back and then recolor those scenes and do my own restoration on those scenes just so that shit wasn't vanishing anymore.
Yeah, because unfortunately, a lot of these, especially when it's like an independent director who does restoration on their own movie, because they'll go in and put, all right, let's autocorrect with the noise reduction, and they just hit the dial and they just run off.
Yeah, and everything looks like Predator, that Predator disc.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's always best to just give Don the raw shit and let him do it.
Let me do it, please. Yeah. I mean, I'm one of the things that I'm getting geared up to do now is, with Mike's help, I have to say, we ended up finally, after 2 years of trying to get it, we found the negative for the convent, which was locked away in Technicolor, and Technicolor was being sold, and no one was talking to us. No one would answer the phones. No one would answer the emails. And all through like the year and a half of COVID, nothing. And then finally now they're like, oh yeah, you guys can have it. And it's like, oh gee, you couldn't have given it to us like 2 fucking years ago. Yeah. But so now I'm going to do a scan and clean up and everything on the convent because we actually found the
negative. And if we hadn't found that negative, or if someone hadn't just done some work to look for it, because I don't think anyone had, the studio that owned the convent had done their own 4K from a print of the movie.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how good that looked.
Yeah, every once in a while you might see it on like Pluto TV. And I was like I was in my room like cleaning my bedroom, and I had Pluto TV on, and I noticed that on one of the channels The Convent was coming on. And I go, "Oh, this is this," and I was watching it, and I was like, "Oh God, I don't want to use that. No,
Yeah.
no,
It's
no." And, yeah. But you know, so yeah, just that's sometimes, you know, that's a peek into my horror. You know, is why sometimes these things take so long, because I'll see movies from other studios where they just get something and they just put it out, and I'm seeing restoration errors from beginning to end, and I just go, you know, no one's noticing this stuff in the reviews, so is anybody going to notice it if I stop caring? Is anybody going to care that I, you know?
Yes, Don, you will.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
That's no, you're right, and that's.
Yep.
And Jerry, my business partner, will say, it's like, it's up to you, you know? And for me, I just want it to be right, because I know, even though no one else notices, I know that I'm just doing a better job than some of these other movies. I mean, there's one that shall remain nameless that may or may not have been partially directed by James Cameron about flying fish that
right
looks so bad. In the auto pass restoration is so bad that shit's like vanishing from the minute the movie starts. And I go, how come no one's noticing this? Everybody's talking about how great it looked. And the kid's running with his fishing pole in the first scene of the movie, and his fishing pole is vanishing as he's running across the screen. And I go, how are they not noticing that the fishing pole is vanishing when the kids, and then there's that scene on the chain link fence when the guy gets killed. There's a chain link fence behind him. And as he's hitting the chain link fence, the chain links are vanishing and coming back. As the chain link fence is moving, they're vanishing and coming. And everybody's like, wow, this looks great. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, why do I bother? Why do I put myself through hell and give myself high blood pressure and gray hair and have nervous breakdowns over restorations when no one seems to notice?
Oh, I think
You know?
I know. I think I know what movie he's talking about. I just put it together. I think I know.
Yeah. So, you know, but it's just I don't know. I mean, that's just me. And I've always, you know, in next year, 2022 is my 30th year in this business. We started Night of the Living Dead in 1992, put it out in 1993 for the 25th anniversary. So, you know, and I've always just been like that. You know, I've always been like a stickler for that kind of thing.
There you go, Don.
Uh-oh, who's this? Hi, Greg. Thank you. Thank you, Greg Caldwell.
See, so somebody's noticing.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because every project that I do, I wonder if anybody's going to notice, you know, and I appreciate comments like that, because I don't like to just ship things out to get them out for, you know, on a schedule. You know, the bean counters, these larger companies are like, we bought this movie 8 months ago, we have to monetize it and get it out by April or whatever, and then they just throw it out and that's the end. That's not me, and I guess that's the luxury that I have, because I own my company with Jerry, is we're the only two people that make those decisions. And if I feel like I want to spend an extra month or two on something, he's like, fuck it, go ahead, you know, because he knows that.
I think these companies though, are releasing like monthly packages and all that. It's almost like they're painting themselves into a corner, because eventually, you know, I mean, they're going to run out of stuff. And honestly, I think
some of them already are, but
they're running out of quality stuff. Yeah.
Well, but they also have a lot more employees, and they're growing exponentially. And, you know, being in this business as long as I have, I think arguably I'm in the United States, I'm probably the longest running guy that's run independent in this industry. I mean, who else since 1992 is still around that started in the U.S.? You know, I can't think of any. You know, and for me, I like the fact that it's just us two guys. I like the fact that I can go to work and everything that we do, we know is on us. There's no one else that can make the mistakes. When you have a company that has 10, 20, 30 or, employees, someone's going to make a mistake and cause a problem. And if we cause a problem, it's either me or the other guy. There's no one else to blame.
Right. And
that's what I like about it. That what is that saying? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. There's also the saying, the appetite grows with the eating. You start small and you have a few successes like I did. I mean, I went from Night of the Living Dead to Texas Chainsaw to Nightmare on Elm Street to Evil Dead to Dawn of the Dead. There was so much ability at that time for us to grow bigger, hire more people, get more movies, do more things, put out more than 6, 7 movies a year. Let's do 3, 4 movies a month. We could have done it. Didn't want to, because I like it small, and I like when I turn the lights on in the office in the morning, it's all because of me and the other guy, and we don't have to worry about other people fucking shit up, And I mean, look, we haven't had a recall ever on any of our discs. I mean, how many other companies can say that? So
there was a pretty big recall recently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't even a recall. I don't know if this stuff was stacked in the warehouse or what. And it's kind of hush hush, the Severin Films thing. And I'm not asking you guys,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think it's some of these practices could easily bankrupt a company and end a company.
Absolutely. One wrong move and you could be done. You really could be, especially when you're dealing with a major studio who has attorneys and lawyers. And, you might think, I'm small potatoes. They're not going to bother me.
Right.
And I think that's kind of, some people might think that, who's going to care? Universal's got bigger fish to fry than little old us. You can't squeeze blood from a stone, but they can make your life miserable. And why would you, And if you have a recall, you have to get those discs back. You have to destroy those discs. You have to redo those discs. You have to repress those discs. You have to resend out those discs. It all costs money. And, the slightest mistake can really tax your financials. And then if you got somebody that, wants to come after you legally, then you're, even though like for the Kindred, for example, we weren't the ones who were fighting in court, but we still got dragged in, and we still had to pay a few bucks to help, the producers along that, I was getting ready to fly to LA. I was going to testify for them and go to court for them. And it took time and money for a problem. And I don't want to go through that kind of crap again. No company does. I don't really know exactly what happened with what you're talking about, but I can't imagine that it didn't cost them a few bucks to get out of that mess. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's sad. It's just not a good situation. But, I'm just happy. I mean, knock on wood, that we haven't had a recall. Not to say that we never will, but so far so good. And I've been in with Synapse now for close to 26 years. So, it's very fortunate.
Now, should I have used some Star Wars footage in the Kindred featurette? Was that a good idea? That's not going to come back and bite you in the ass, is
some
it?
Star Trek,
No.
some Star Trek. Oh, well, we could. What is it? The fair use? We could say, hey, you
Well,
only
no, I
use
just
10
put it
seconds.
on there. I just put it in there wholesale at the end of the featurette for no reason.
Listen,
Right,
as long
right.
as it's Italian, nobody will ever notice.
I'm sure it'll be all right. I'm not.
Yeah,
worried about
Yeah,
it.
it'll be fine. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. You know, some Jaws footage probably wouldn't hurt either.
Oh,
Sleepy,
yeah.
I want to ask you something, Sleepy, because we got like 20 questions about possible like releases that Synapse could be coming out with. But real quick,
I can't wait to hear this.
but real quick, you worked on Halloween 5.
I
The
did.
new, yeah, okay. So there's been a big story about that too. Now, did you have anything to do with the footage part of it, like the?
As a matter of fact, yes, I did. They went back and found that movie's had some deleted footage that's been talked about for years. There was a SWAT massacre sequence that was shot and never made its way into the movie, although oddly enough, it made its way into the cover art for the movie, which I found to be kind of odd.
Yeah.
And that footage hasn't been unearthed either, so I don't know what the deal is with that. And then there was a few bits cut out for gore, for MPAA purposes, although really nothing much. It was just a few small little tidbits. But the other big thing was the opening to the movie was originally quite a bit different. As it opens now, it picks up right where Halloween 4 leaves off. Michael Myers gets shot, he drops down in the well, they throw the dynamite down there, kaboom, he floats down the river. And as it stands now in the theatrical cut, he comes across this old man living in a shack who rescues him, nurses him back to health apparently for a year. Michael wakes up and just kills him and then goes back to Haddonfield and resumes his normal activities. Originally, it was not that old man character. It was called the Mountain Man, I think it was called. It was a character named, although he's never called this in the movie, but he was named Dr. Death. He's a young, scrawny, kind of culty guy who has runes and tarot cards and stones and incantations and stuff, who lives out in the shack. It's the same shack. They just added the other guy in later. He finds Michael Myers, brings him inside, and does these sort of incantations over him and wakes him up a year later. And that explains how he gets the thorn tattoo on his arm. And then he kills Dr. Death and goes on his arm. Well, they cut that out. They reshot all that. And the reason that I was told was that it introduced all this sort of thorn stuff, this sort of supernatural stuff way too early in the movie, and it just didn't fit with the rest of the picture. And so they just didn't think it would work and the people wouldn't buy it. So they reshot it with the old man. And actually, I discovered that they used the same set. They just didn't. I mean, there's actually shots from the original Dr. Death footage in the theatrical version of the movie. They just made sure Dr. Death wasn't in the shot. So like when Michael Myers wakes up and he grabs his mask, that was all part of the original footage. Well, I think it was like a couple years ago, they went through all the boxes of all the negative materials they had for Halloween 5, and they found the raw footage, the original negative for the Dr. Death sequence, which had never been put together. And so they were like, okay, well, let's put it together. And so I ended up getting contacted by Screen Factory, and it said, do you want to edit together the footage for Dr. Death? And I'm like, yeah. And so originally the idea was just kind of put the stuff in order, because there's, several takes of this, and it's all the raw takes of everything, and find the best takes and just kind of put it in order. Well, I being an idiot decide, no, I'm going to re-edit the whole opening of the movie and I'm going to use the footage of him floating down the river and cut it all together as if it's like it's supposed to be. And so, I color time it, and I put in, there's actually footage from the theatrical version that I cut into it and matched it all up. The other problem was we only had the picture. There was no audio. Mm-hmm. Either shot MOS, which means basically they just shot picture on it, didn't bother to do the audio, or the audio was lost. I don't know what happened. I didn't look at I couldn't see the clapboard clearly enough to tell what was going on. And the character has a couple lines of dialogue in it. Nothing major, but a couple lines. But there's no sound. So I then had to go in and essentially at my desk create a whole new sound mix for all of that footage and match it up with the theatrical cut, lay in music and all this stuff. And we ended up getting a solution for the voice of the Dr. Death for the few lines of dialogue. I'm not going to spoil who does it, But if you check out the credits, it'll be someone that genre fans is familiar
Me.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Death.
Hey, boss.
Yeah, hey,
What's
Bones,
going on,
Dr. Death.
Rocky?
Hey, Michael Myers, don't kill me, motherfucker. I mean, just, it was. But anyway, so I went in there and put in splash sounds and bumps and, footsteps on gravel and all this. It was really fun. It was an awful lot of fun. And so the whole sequence plays out from the very beginning of the movie to when Michael Myers ends up killing Dr. Death. It's essentially that whole sequence reconstructed. And you're going to be able to watch it as if it were still part of the movie, so you get to see what it would have really been like. That was a lot of fun. I don't get to do stuff like that very often.
You've been doing some of that stuff, though, didn't you? Do the Beyond Dreams door? You did like a recut?
I've done a couple for Synapse, but those were a little bit easier in that I had a full version of the movie to match up to. So it was just replacing shots, because I did the Creepers for the Phenomenon release, and like I said, I just did Tombs of the Blind Dead. But but for Beyond Dreams Door, for Vinegar Syndrome, I had a version of the movie to go by, but I had every single take that had been shot on that movie. So I had to go through and find which take was used and then put it in. And there's a lot of flashback quick cutting in that thing. And I've done that now for, I think, 4 or 5 movies. I did Beyond Dreams Door. I did this one little film called Demon Rat, which I don't know if it's ever going to come out or not. That's a long story. And then there's also, I did Plague Town, David Gregory's Plague Town. I recut that for him. And it's fun, because it's like putting a puzzle back together, and you get to see the new version laid over the old version. You have to match up every single shot exactly.
I would imagine that would be very time-consuming, though.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily time-consuming, and it can sometimes drive you insane, but it's also really rewarding at the same time. But it does eat up a lot of time.
I would love for you to do all the Halloween footage.
That's what we were all thinking.
And, create a whole new movie out of the extra shots, out of the unused footage.
Yeah, but, the other thing I would love to do is get my hands on some of the TV product from the 80s and the 90s, which were shot on film but edited on video. And really go, but like Tales from the Dark Side would be a wonderful thing to get back, because those masters are terrible. And it's still a very popular show, so it's like, they're going to eventually, at some point, you're just not going to be able to watch those anymore. So it's just, I would love to be able to do stuff, and that would be an extraordinarily time-consuming thing.
I've got to think at some point in time that's going to happen, though.
You would hope so. But the problem is, it's time-consuming, and it's labor-intensive, and it's expensive.
What is the material all there, though, too?
The material, I do know for a fact that all the film material on Tales from the Dark Side does exist and is being stored carefully. I do know that for sure.
You'd have to redo the graphics at the beginning with the door and the woods.
And some of that. Or it would have to be up-res really, really nicely to make that work. And fortunately with that show, there's not a lot of optical effects, because they only had $4 to make every episode of that show. And what little opticals there would be very easy to recreate. But it's what's preventing anyone from going back and doing a full, true HD film remaster of Tales from the Crypt, because there's tons of visual effects to those things. And so it would be although I think they're going to do a Blu-ray set, but they're just going to up-res what they've already, which is like kind of bullshitty. But, at the end of the day, what are you going to do? But I would love to be able to get, like Werewolf, the TV show Werewolf. I would love to be able to go back in there and get the film elements together, and because those things are almost borderline unwatchable now.
Was Tales from the Crypt, was that shot on film as well? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It was all shot on film, but it was edited on video.
Yeah,
because
that'd be a cool
as a cost cutting measure, because
base.
no one was thinking HD back then. No one was thinking in terms of outside of the life of standard definition on cable. That was it. And then DVD wasn't even around when that show first aired. They were lucky to throw some episodes out on VHS. So, but again, as Don was mentioning before, the fucking video technology and the film transfer technology, it's like dog years. Every 5 years, it feels like
something new. Yeah.
So
I was just talking about that. I graduated from college in like 1990, and none of what I trained in college in 1990 is even being used today. Not, it's like so far. It's like everything that I spent money to get my degree in broadcasting, none of it.
Oh, I used to I was lucky. I did some short films in high school, and I got to use the Charlotte Mecklenburg School System's VHS editing suite, which was 2 Panasonic professional decks and a little board, which I could do straight cuts. I couldn't do dissolves or anything. And that was like that was like
technology.
that was incredible for me back then to be able to use something like that instead of just having 2 VCRs to home to edit with. I mean, I could do actual legitimate cuts, and I could I could record on audio tracks by themselves. I mean, it felt like amazing. And that editing system back then with the monitors and everything probably cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $50,000.
Wow.
If I were to go buy all that equipment now on eBay, I could probably get it all delivered here for about $400, $500.
Yeah.
You know,
What's crazy
it's
is,
ridiculous.
a lot of that stuff now you can do on your phone.
Oh, shit,
that's
yeah.
Simplified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steven Soderbergh's making whole movies on his phone, on his iPhone these days. It's
what I'm able to do here editorially on just Premiere it's like, if I could have seen that back in high school, my jaw would have fallen out of my skull and hit the ground and then just run off. It would have I would have been like, ah.
I mean, and tools like DaVinci Resolve are free, for people to use DaVinci Resolve as long as you're not doing 4K or 3D.
Yeah, and now
DaVinci Resolve is absolutely free, and it's like it's huge.
And now you're getting tools like the Topaz encoders, which can up-res old VHS footage. I mean, it's never going to look like brand spanking new HD, but it can get rid of all this video noise and artifacts and actually make it look halfway decent. It's like, where was this shit 10 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I just did some behind-the-scenes footage that was shot on a movie for a project I'm working on, and it looked really garbled, and it just had this film over it. And I ran it through Topaz, and suddenly it's like, oh my God, I can see everything now. Oh, how did it know to do that? I mean, it's really quite amazing. But with that stuff, you have to be careful too, because sometimes if you set the settings the wrong way, it overdoes it, and suddenly you get like, it's putting shit in there that was never supposed to be in there.
Right.
Yeah, it's a balancing act. But yeah, technology is. I can't imagine 5 years from now what we're gonna have. I can't even imagine.
Right. Get back though to 16K.
What the fuck? I could barely. 4K is enough, don't you think?
It is. I think so. I mean, I have a 120-inch screen with a projector. 4K is fine. On 120. I can't imagine like them selling like 8K 65-inch TVs. It's like, what's the point? No one's really gonna notice that much.
I can't see them maybe doing like an
let's do
8K up converted 4K player, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point, it's just too much goddamn K. It's just too much fucking K.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know. I know of one movie that was like before COVID. I knew of one movie that was being restored in 8K, and I don't know if it's still happening. I don't know if COVID shut it all down.
Well, I'm gonna leak what it is. It's Home Sweet Home. They actually went ahead and did.
It would be the best shit ever.
That supposedly like a Japanese company, I can't remember which company it was doing, in anticipation of Spielberg's West Side Story, they were doing supposedly an 8K of West Side Story. But I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's done. I don't know if they started it and then just orphaned it. I don't know, but that's the only movie that I know of that was even entertaining being in 8K. I don't know of any other films. Yeah.
Home Sweet Home in 8K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Halloween 4Ks that's coming out. Couple things. The deleted scenes in part 4. We still always get asked about that. That's still not in the.
I don't.
What's
think
the deal
so.
with that?
I either they didn't turn up or they just don't have them, or for whatever reason. I'm not privy to what happened on that, or if they did a search or what. I don't know. I was only really involved with doing some stuff for part 5. Oh, I did add something. I did add a little thing on part 3 that's about the 3 masks: the pumpkin and the witch and the skull. Justin Mabry from Trick or Treat Studios does an interview that talks about the history of the masks and the new ones they made. So that's on Halloween 3. And there were going to be some other things to do. We wanted to reapproach all 5 of the movies and do new extras, but it just wasn't time. And also, so many people have already done stuff And it was a matter of there just wasn't the time and the money, and those the 4Ks are expensive, so there weren't going to be a lot. There wasn't going to be a lot of budget for extras and stuff. But so we got Halloween 5. I mean, I did the Dr. Death thing, and then a new interview with Rob Draper, the DP, because I love the photography on that movie. I absolutely love, and he'd never really spoken in depth about the movie before. So, and I've worked with Rob on a couple of other projects recently, so it was great to be able to get him to do it. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the new. Oddly enough, I have not seen the new transfer on Part 5 because I had to use an existing Blu-ray for that because there just wasn't time. But I have seen. Part 1? I haven't seen Part 1, but I've seen Part 4 in 4K. I'd never seen that movie looking that good. The colors are just amazing, and I that was just like, damn, if this one looks that good. Because on Halloween, the original Halloween, this is the first time a 4K transfer has been done from the original negative. The other one had been done from an IP. So they went back to the original negative to do this one. And from what I understand, Dean Cundy did sign off on it. Okay. So it'll be very interesting to see how this one looks. Because there's always controversy. Is it going to look too fall? Is it not going to look fall enough? Is it going to... So it's going to be interesting to see.
So is this like the third or fourth version of Halloween with the third or fourth color timing on it now? Is that what?
Is it only the fourth? I don't know.
Maybe the fifth?
Because we did that back at Anchor Bay when we did the THX version, and then it got done again.
And Criterion had it out before then.
Yeah, so it's been color corrected a lot of times. But,
yeah.
This should look very good. I mean, but I was blown away by just how Halloween 4 looked.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, okay.
The part that still kills me, though, is like Don was on last time, and he was talking about all the unused footage that is out there that exists. It's like...
And it still does.
I mean, is there any chance of
why
that
was it so
ever
easy
getting on
for Part 5?
Well, the
which,
problem
let's
with
be honest, Part 5's not the best. But, I'm interested in seeing it.
I love Part 5, but I can totally understand, because the movie doesn't make a lick of fucking sense.
Right.
But
seems like it would make more sense if they did like the parts you were talking about in the beginning.
Well, now it does, because there's been other entries in the series that took the Thorn thing and the whole cult thing. They ran with that, so it would make more sense in context. But as far as that Halloween footage, the only thing about the Halloween footage that for me is it's interesting because you'd see alternate takes and some of the bloopers and things that have been talked about over the years, and also just some of the alternate ideas that they had while they were shooting it. Because there wasn't a high shoot ratio on that movie. They didn't have time or money to do 15 takes of shit. Mm-hmm. So you would get very interesting. It's like, if we're going to try this, we're going to try this, and then if that works, we're going to do one more take of it.
Yeah,
and it'd be very interesting to see what that all looks like. It would be interesting, I think, to do a documentary that would talk about all the various decisions made during the making of the movie in terms of why certain things were made and then use that footage as a complement to that. Cutting together a whole nother version of the movie would be fun, but there's no audio, so that would be a big problem. As far as why we'll never see it, there's people who don't want to talk to each other, basically. That's kind of how it works. Because the one person, a guy owns the footage, and that's fine. He can own the footage, but he doesn't have the rights to exploit it. And the person who has the rights to exploit it doesn't have the footage. So, and those two people don't want to talk.
So they just hate each other so much.
Well, I wouldn't say they hate each other. It's just
I wouldn't say that either.
It's all about the Benjamins, really. Is what it ends up being. One person has an idea of how much they think the footage is worth, and the other person has an idea of how much he thinks the footage is worth, and they're not coming together. I was at Horror Hound last weekend, and they had a Q&A. They had like a talk for Halloween 78 and 2018. They had everybody there, Nick Castle and everybody, and they had a little around it, and Nick Castle mentioned a scene that I saw in the footage that I saw of the original Halloween. He talked about it, and it was so funny because somebody in the audience was like saying, well, we know who's got that footage, and no one's ever going to see it. He mentioned that when he falls off the balcony and he's on the ground, he said he does like a roll, and then he gets up, and in the Michael Myers outfit, he was like doing like a goofy dance. He was like in the outfit, and he was just kind of like, goofing off. And he mentioned that in the Q&A. He said, "Yeah, there's this footage of me doing like this funny roll and a dance when I'm getting up off the ground." And I saw that in the footage that is there for Halloween. I was like, God damn it, I wish we could show this to people, but it's not up to me anymore.
I already have a name for a documentary that uses that footage: Halloween Unseen.
Yeah, or the Unseen Halloween was actually the Unseen Halloween was actually bandied about for a little while. Why don't we call it that?
Yeah,
and so then nothing ever happened.
I would love to do something like that, but again, it's going to require a check being written and some people talking, and
not to mention that there's so much of the original Halloween, and basically Mike is right. What it was Tommy Lee Wallace told me that they only shot maybe 3 takes or maximum of 4 takes of every shot in the movie. They if we can't get it in 3, fuck it, we're done. We'll just use the best one. Mm-hmm. And so all that footage, there's probably the other 2 or 3 takes in those boxes of every single shot in the movie that wasn't used. And there's some great stuff in there. And it pains me to think that Malick doesn't want to do anything with it. It's up to him. It's up to Malick.
There's even footage of the camera test that they do with the Steadicam.
Yeah, there is. Was it the Panaglide?
Yeah, the Panaglide, which I think the first time they'd used that.
Yeah, and they pull it out, they put some film in it, and they're running through the Halloween production offices and up and down the stairs, and you can see
it's amazing. It's amazing.
And it's in the parking lot, and there's all these and it's like there's that kind of stuff plus stuff. There's the scene at the beginning. There's an outtake where the boyfriend, she, obviously Michael's sister, is with the boyfriend, and then she goes upstairs and he kills her. But when he's on the, with her boyfriend and he's looking through the window, there's a scene where the boyfriend actually sticks his hand up her shirt and starts squeezing her chest and everything. And it's like, that's not in the movie. That's a completely different take of what he was doing before he left with with Michael's sister, and no one's ever going to see it. I got to see it, but I wish everyone could see it.
Everyone needs to see that.
Yeah,
there's
some amazing stuff with what's her name, Kyle Richards.
Oh yeah.
Trying to pull the babysitter, out of the window in the laundry and everything, and she can't, and it's like she there's something she just doesn't know what to do, so she like turns to the camera and she's like going like this, like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
I mean, it's one of those things where if you had footage for any movie, like let's say Texas Chainsaw like had a bunch of footage of alternate takes and things, I mean, who wouldn't want to see that shit?
I know, and I did find some of that, and there was a lot more where that stuff was that I found for Chainsaw. We just didn't have the time or the budget to go through it. And it was owned by the University of Texas at Austin. I assume it's still there.
Yeah.
There were boxes and it was just a cardboard. I wish I still had the picture, because back when I was doing it, I had a camera and I took a picture of the foot. There were just cardboard boxes of just loose film, just laying in boxes. And some of it was for Toby's eggshells. Some of it was for Chainsaw. Some of it was for like his Farrah Fawcett commercial that he did that we found that we couldn't use because we thought she was going to sue us. But Gunnar was with me, and we find this commercial that Toby shot with Farrah Fawcett, and she's like an airline stewardess, and she's like, sexy outfit going around the plane and stuff, and it was like, that's Farrah Fawcett, and Gunnar's like, you probably can't use that. They'll probably, she'll figure out a way to sue you or something, So, but there's tons of Chainsaw stuff that people haven't seen, because the boxes are at University of Texas at Austin. At least they were the last time I checked. There's probably hours of stuff from Chainsaw that no one's ever seen still sitting in there, and it's all sitting right next to the outtakes for Gone with the Wind. So because they have the outtakes for the David O. Selznick collection there too, and the Chainsaw stuff was right there. I mean, Gunnar and I opened up a box. It was all Toby's stuff. And we opened up a box, and Gunnar found, in the dinner scene, there's a light hanging over the table, and there's a mask, there's a skin on the lamp, on the light hanging above the table in the movie. We found it. It was in a box there. And he's like, my God, this is the shade from the lamp that's over, and it was all like shrunken and, rotting. But all that stuff is still sitting at the University of Texas at Austin, as far as I know. And maybe someday somebody will go in. It just takes a lot of money to go in, and let's say we had permission to transfer off all that Halloween footage. You're looking at, 3 times the running time of the movie, maybe. So you're looking at probably 4 or 5 hours, and it's all cut to cut takes. So the reels are, tiny little reels that you got to clean and prep and splice together onto bigger reels. You can't necessarily run a reel like this big through a scanner to scan it. I mean, it'd be, you're going to have to prep it, put it in some sort of order, put them all together on maybe 2,000-foot cores or something. And that's going to take a shit ton of money to do that. It's not like you can just scan it and say, hey, look, there's going to be a lot of prep, a lot of time going to, cleaning it, making sure that it'll work. It won't, it's not falling apart. So there's a lot of cost involved with something like that. And I can understand if Malik thinks that way and says, well, to transfer all this, it's going to cost, $20,000, $30,000. And it could very well, do that with all the work. But somebody should do it, somebody should. If somebody has the money to do it, somebody should go and do that just to have it. Scan it, put it on some hard drives in 4K. Don't even color correct it. Just get it so that it can be preserved for the future, But nobody's going to. That's the sad fact.
It always amazes me how people, kind of in a related thing, people don't understand all that goes into putting these things out.
They don't. They think, hey, why aren't you doing this? And
it's like people assume, like for any given movie, they assume that the negative is just sitting perfectly on a little shelf somewhere in a climate-controlled studio that hasn't been touched. They just put it in, run it through a machine, and it's perfect, and out it goes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how about change that to, we don't know where the fucking negative is. Oh, we found the fucking negative, but we can't get access to it. And then, oh, great, it's been here, but it's been stored improperly, and the damn thing's so brittle, if you breathe on it, it'll break. It's just like, there are so many, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. There are studio films that are in the worst shape, and then there are films that were made for $10 that are in pristine shape.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. But there's so much work that goes into, and I've seen Don literally just like be sitting there going,
have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, just like, what the fuck is this? And we're trying to find this shit. Why are these people? It's like we say we have, or I love it when they say, oh, we have all the elements. We know exactly where all the elements are. We're good. And then they make the deal, and it's just like, oh, by the way, when we said elements, we meant tapes.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I remember I was so excited to do Suspiria, and then we got the scan. We scanned it in Italy, and they sent us over the scan. Every fucking splice in that movie had a fingerprint embedded on it. Every single time the movie cut from one scene to another, there was somebody's fucking fingerprint right on the film. And we had to get rid of every single one.
You should send that fingerprint into the cops, find out who that is.
The FBI, find out who it was. It was almost like they were testing the integrity of the splices by going, oh, this movie's like 40 years old. So they're running it and they go, oh, here's a splice. Let's see. Is it going to break? Nope. Go to the next one.
He's probably eating a taco in the other hand, just wiping his hands.
And I'm like, God damn it. We going through it and it's like fingerprint after every single scene. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And you don't even want to know how much the restoration cost on Suspiria. It was mind-boggling. I've never spent that kind of money before on another movie.
$47.50.
Yeah, now maybe add a couple of zeros, maybe. I mean, it was horrifying. And you get Suspiria, one of the greatest movies in the world, and then you see what kind of condition the negative is in, and you're just like, motherfucker, really? This is what this thing is. Forever, that movie's going to have those fucking fingerprints on it. So anybody who wants to rescan that movie in 4K, 8K, 16K, if there's ever another scan of that negative, they're going to have a hell of a time getting rid of all that stuff.
I got to say, though, I mean, and it's not just because we're friends or anything like that, but when I first saw the 4K itself, the restoration of Suspiria, it was like, this is the most beautiful fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was, because that movie is like, there's more colors in that than there are in the fucking rainbow. I mean, it's just like,
right. Like your eyes can't even pick those colors up.
And once you had it with the HDR and you had the Dolby and all that on the 4K, I'm just looking at it going, it's almost too pretty. It's almost like I get lost in. I mean, it was just like. So yeah, I understand that was that one damn near killed you, but
yeah, it did. It really did. I'm on medication now because of that. God, I seriously, I'm not. I'm laughing about it, but it's true. My hair went gray. My blood pressure went up. My anxiety went up. I mean, it's just it wrecked me. Mm-hmm. And it was, but at the end of the day, when I was finished, when I finally watched the movie for the last time, and I went to Jerry and I was like, we're kind of done. There's nothing else that I can do that will be like this. There's no other movie on the planet that I can do this to. I mean, really, there's not.
Sweet Home.
Munchies. Crazy fat ass.
I mean, somebody.
King Frat is what I.
An hour on the. A little bit of a plug here, but Synapse has started a podcast, and I actually interviewed for the podcast. Finally, after 4 episodes of me not being on it, they got me for this week, and the one of the questions was, "What's a movie that you would want to do?" If you could do it, if any movie, and I just said, I want to do the original version of The Exorcist, because that Blu-ray that they say original theatrical version is not. It's not. It's been remixed. They put that fucking morph at the end of it, which was not something that was in the movie in the 70s. Right. And, I just want to go back to the mono mix and just read, but other than that, Suspiria is really it. I kind of blew my wad after 30 years of it, in this business. I can't think of another movie where I can do that too.
I've gotten asked that question too in terms of what extras could I do for what movie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've been so ridiculously lucky in terms of the stuff I've gotten to work on. So many dream projects that it's like, oh, I'm sure there's stuff I want to do, but I feel like I'm being incredibly selfish by even mentioning stuff I haven't gotten to do. Because it's like, look at what I've got. I mean, when I look at my website, every night I have to update it, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I've done a lot of shit. Oh, my God.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of stuff this year, that I was looking. I was looking at the site today. And I didn't even realize you were working on some of this stuff, like the Dead and Buried. I didn't know you'd done anything on that.
Did a couple of things on that. That was I actually shot or did a couple of things for that like 2 years ago, and that was a situation also where they had element issues that came up, and they had to hold off on the project for a while. So by the time it came around to edit it, I was like, "What did I do again?" I was like, because when I work on these projects, it's like, and Don's the same way. I'm sure it's like, oh, it's feverish, it's insane, and you work and you concentrate. The minute that fucking thing goes out the door, I don't know anything else anymore. Yeah. It's just like, what's the release? I don't know. Yeah. And then 2 months later, someone comes up to me and says, I love that featurette you did on such and such. It's like, I did? It's like,
well, there's a lot of people on here, Slippy, that are talking about your work on the new Vestron stuff, too, saying how good it was on Little Monsters. And,
Oh, good. No, I hope so. I hope people are enjoying those and they continue because we're putting those out at quite a clip again. I'm working on. I just delivered Steel Dawn, which is coming out soon, and I'm working on another one which will be wrapped up here in 2 weeks, and then I start work on another one, and then there's another one after that that's still going on, and then probably more at the beginning of the year. We're every couple of months, every few months, there's going to be a couple titles. So
one of those
the rate
titles
is awesome.
Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College, please.
I hope so.
honestly, that's not far from the. I mean, I'm not saying we've really had any discussions about it, but that's a possibility. That could happen.
Trick or treat, trick or treat.
I would love to see
Trick or treat, yeah.
I would love trick or treat.
Surprised I haven't seen anybody mention that yet. So
no one's mentioned that ever at all. No one knows anything about that
box set, though. Adam
Wait a minute.
Oh, here we go again with this shit.
What the fuck do you know about that film, Don?
Fucking Nightmare on Elm Street box set. God damn.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
We know it's coming out.
Well, I
We
saw
know it
it.
is.
I saw
You
the
know
box
nothing,
art.
sir.
The box art got out.
Good day.
The fake box art. Will they have the extras that I found that have never been on any other version except my fucking Laserdisc from 30 years ago? That's what I want to know.
There you go.
Yeah.
I want to know
What's the deal
what the hell happened
yeah.
with that guy that. What was that? That supposedly knew about the
I don't
release.
I don't want to get into all that. Basically, it was
Zolly?
Zolly.
I think Zolly got conned. I think he got trolled on those.
Yeah, that was and that really pissed me off because it looked very convincing at first.
Yep.
And then it was just like, wait a minute,
Right.
I've seen this artwork somewhere else before, and then it all kind of fell apart. But it was just like, and then I just knew it. It's like, oh, those dead pit motherfuckers are gonna have my ass over there. They're gonna say, I told you what, Slippy, I knew it was coming. You lied to us.
I
He
still
did
think
too.
it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's just not
coming.
in.
And I kept telling you guys, this is bullshit. And what was it? Yeah, it was bullshit. So
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know anything.
They're
about
probably
Like,
gonna
I can
come-
tell-
I mean, eventually, I'm sure they're going to come out. I mean, it just
Somebody,
makes sense.
This is the funny part is I could tell
Somebody.
by Slippy's reaction that story was bullshit. Because had that been true and we would have texted him, he'd been like, "Fuck you."
Fuck you, I don't want to talk to you motherfuckers anymore.
Yeah.
But he no-sold it. He no-sold it completely. So I was like, "This is not true. This is fake."
Well,
It's like-
our buddies at Scheme Factory, though, they wouldn't have started with the 4K. They would have did the Blu-ray, and then a year later, you fucking dumbasses going to buy the 4Ks again. That's usually how they do it.
Well, you got to. I mean, I'm sure that those movies, if they are doing them, they weren't cheap. So, I mean, it's. I remember. I mean, you don't want to know how much I paid for. I remember when we did Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, and 3, and back in the day when we were working with Anchor Bay on those, and
$70 million.
yeah. Well, we had to fix the negative, the actual original camera negative of Nightmare on Elm Street. The first reel it looked like it had been run over by a truck and then eaten by an elephant and then shit out on the street. I mean, the negative was actually in terrible shape. And we had to create a new reel 1 of Nightmare on Elm Street from the negative just so that we could use it. So I don't know, but that was almost 30 years ago. So I don't know if they've, what they're using for the first reel of A Nightmare on Elm Street, but I remember the negative being in the first reel was in terrible shape.
Don, when did we first meet? I can't remember when the hell that was because it was 96, 97?
Had to have been. Well, I met
your
you
website.
at the Dawn of but we met at the Dawn of the Dead thing.
Right, at the Monroeville Mall when George was doing that signing. But
yeah,
I didn't know
that was in 96? 4, 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah, because then it ended up on the Laserdisc box set.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then I ended up doing Synapse Films' website originally.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then, so I can't remember the exact, it just seems like I've always known you. Just at one point, it's like one of those things you go to sleep one night not knowing someone, then you wake up the next morning and you realize you've known someone for 10 years. You don't remember when the hell did this, it's kind of like with me and Don. It's like, I don't remember when I first met him.
You did our website when I was still in Bloomington, Illinois.
Yeah.
So,
and I wasn't even hired with Anchor Bay at that point yet.
Yeah,
so.
and I'm here, and I've been in Michigan for something like 21 years.
Yeah, well, I remember when you moved up here. I remember.
Yeah,
because I got up here right before you did.
Yeah, so it's been at least 25 years that we've known each other, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and I owed Synapse a lot because they gave me some of the first opportunities I had. You know, I got to do effects and Nail Gun Massacre and Maniac. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. You know.
And you're releasing a standalone documentary, though. We got Franco Stein's asking about the After Effects.
Yeah, the extended version of After Effects. Yes, that's finally wrapping up this week. I put that together, and that's going to be an exclusive at Diabolic, actually, coming up. The problem has been it was a standard F documentary that I up-resed, and the person who's doing the encoding, who is the same person who does Synapse's encoding, is the best guy there is in the business because he really can zero in on a host of problems that I just can't see. And so he came back and said, we need to fix this and this and this and this and this. And so...
Oh, so you're the one who's causing the delay on getting my fucking Kindred DVD done.
Wouldn't that be fun if that was the case?
No, it's not me.
It's Mike Felsher's fault. Everyone listening, he's taken up all of my time.
I want my featurette back. Fuck that. Go shoot your own shit. I don't need this.
You do not want to say that shit to this crowd that he'll be stoned to death the next convention.
No, I'm gonna wake up, my fucking house is gonna be on fire. Thank you. That's not gonna help anything. So no, it's getting finished up here probably in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be definitely out sometime in October. So that's cool. It got delayed, and now also I made the mistake of announcing the street date before I had the master in hand and before I had everything finished. Never doing that again. So this time it will be out.
Learned that lesson a long time ago myself.
Yeah. So it will be out in October, and there will be a firm actual street date announced very, very shortly.
Cool.
Awesome. And there's I think we talked to you about the amusement park, the Lost Romero movie.
Right.
Last time we had you on. There's some rumblings about some other Romero stuff that may be coming out. Is it anything?
Well, there's a lot of they've unearthed a piece of a short film, an experimental film that he did called Expostulations, which was sort of I don't really know much about it aside from it was something that he and a lot of the Night of the Living Dead guys were trying to do before Night of the Living Dead, and they found a piece of it. It's kind of like almost like a poem on film. It's a very avant-garde kind of thing. Very much someone that people who are just starting out in the film industry in the 60s would do, sort of just experimental, kind of like, let's see what we can do, kind of a tone poem kind of thing. But they found a piece of that, apparently, a section of that. And then there's a pilot that George did called Iron City Ass Kickers, which was done sometime, I think, in the 90s. They've got... So there's a lot of little things that have just kind of turned up. As to what home video future they have, I have no idea. And I don't even know if there's a video deal in place for Amusement Park at this point. I know it's airing.
I think Shudder bought it, didn't they?
Shudder has it, so it could go to RLJ. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of people on here like asking tons of questions.
Cool.
Let's see.
So
okay, so here's
I like the one. No, here's one I like.
There's been a couple on there a few times.
Synapse needs to do Hamburger the Motion Picture. Goddamn right.
I want to.
Yep.
We need to do fucking Hamburger. We need to do it.
I do. I want to. You got to find the stuff. So
let's just get this.
When Charlie Meeker, who did the Kindred, did Hot Dog. I asked him about Hamburger. And he's like, well, here's my vault list. What's here? They didn't have the negative on the vault list. And I go, well, where, you've got a print, you've got this master, what? And he goes, I don't know, we'll find it, somewhere. He goes, I got stuff scattered all over. And then he hired me to help him take all of his material from all these different places and kind of move them to one vault in LA. And he sadly passed away. So I haven't been able to get out to LA because of COVID. His business partner was Ed Feldman, and his son, Ed Feldman's son, Richard Feldman, wants me, as soon as things kind of calm down and, you know, if the Delta variant isn't like going to kill us all in like 3 or 4 months, then I'll go out to LA and I'll kind of wrangle through all the materials and see if we can find it. But at this point, the negative for Hamburger the Motion Picture was not listed on any of his vault lists, unfortunately. So
the other one everyone's asking about, probably 5 or 6 people on here, is Lamora. They want to know if that one's going to come out on Blu-ray.
I never say never, but we don't have any plans right now. We did some early tests on it a while back, but that was a long time ago. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to, but it's not really in the cards right now. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, when things sort of calm down, maybe, I don't know, maybe next year when I mean, obviously I got the Kindred and Tombs, and, you know, we're working on the Convent, and I got to get Crocodile out, got to get Deadly Spawn out. You know, for 2 guys, that's a lot of work. So I just kind of take it as I can do it, you know.
Well, I got a question about Deadly Spawn. Is it possibly going to look any better than that really great lead DVD that came out a few years ago?
You mean the one that was like sort of taken from our DVD and up-res, you mean?
Yes,
yeah,
that one.
That one. Yeah, it looks a lot better. We had started the restoration on that right at the beginning of COVID, like right before COVID hit. And I was doing the restoration in India. And as you know, India got hit hard. And so, I mean, I'm not going to lie, everything kind of went to shit during COVID in India. I mean, people were dying. You know, they were talking about how they were underreporting the deaths. Some of my team in India that was doing Deadly Spawn got affected by COVID. And I guess the reels are now sort of, well, their first pass of the restoration after now being in India for almost 2 years, the first pass is now done. And so they've got to upload those reels to the US. I have to pull them down off of the server, and then I'll take a look. I'll make my notes. And then if I see anything, then I got to send my notes back to India, you know, so it's going to be a while. But yeah, Deadly Spawn, the problem with Deadly Spawn is when we first did it on V8 or on DVD, when you scan something in standard definition, however many years ago it was it been probably like 15 years ago, maybe more. You know, these scanners, the technology wasn't as great, so the DVD looked pretty cool. You know, I was like, wow, this is a really nice looking version of Deadly Spawn. Well, I made the silly decision to scan it in 4K, a 16 millimeter movie that was probably shot on half toilet paper and half film. And
every flaw,
everything, every flaw, every piece of dirt, every scratch, everything you could think of that would be wrong with a piece of film showed up in the scan. And it's a mess. And you don't see it on the DVD because the DVD is such low resolution that shit just doesn't show up. But in 4K, it's all right there. And it's costing a lot of money to restore that. And it'll get done, but it's been a long process on that one. So, you know, it'll be another one of those that when people see it, they'll be like, "Oh my God," you know, and it's awesome. And it is. I mean, I know what the color looks like. I know what the scan looks like. Now we just got to clean up the mess because the 16 millimeter. Remember, the movie was shot 16 millimeter, so it's you know, very, very messy. But it'll be out eventually, and it'll look great. So.
Lawn Furniture is saying that we need Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 through 5 in a box.
You know what? I think that would be a great idea.
It has I have something I've talked to them about, because there actually are new transfers that were done for 3 through 5, which I think showed up on Tubi not long ago.
Yeah.
And they look pretty good. Look as good as those movies can look. And I would love to do a box set or a collection of those 3, because man, you talk about 3 weird ass flicks. I mean, those are the whole series is like that, but those ones just like the third one, which was directed by Monty Hellman of all people.
Right.
And it's got Bill Moseley walking around with a salad bowl on his head, with his brain exposed. And then the fourth one, which has shit all to do with Christmas. And it's got Clint Howard and a worm and just a whole bunch of weird crap. And then it goes back to Christmas for part 5 with Mickey Rooney, who famously blasted the first one.
Yeah.
And then there's like a Pinocchio-type character who ends up turning into a rapist near the end of the movie. It's
Joe
weird.
Pedo.
It's the whole
Joe
thing. Those movies would be I would love to do those, just to hear the stories about. Basically, just sit the people who made them down and go, "What the fuck?"
Did Brian Usna do one of those?
Brian did 2. He directed 4, and I think he also produced part 5.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Martin
funny.
Kitrosser, I think, directed part 5.
Yeah.
But and then part 3, like I said, Monty Hellman of all people. It's like,
yeah,
really?
He just died, didn't he? He just passed away.
He just passed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be. I would love to do those. Those would be. I mean, I think people would eat up a Silent Night sequels collection.
I'd definitely buy that.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Here's an interesting question for Felsher, though. When are your special features for the Nightmare on Elm Street box set going to be done?
They're going to be done. Fuck you. That's what they're going to be. I'm not doing any goddamn special features.
Who did that question? That was
I will
odd.
say, if anybody who is doing the Nightmare on Elm Street
wink
special features, wink, 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 in the other room. When I was working on Nightmare on Elm Street back in 90, whatever it was, I was in Wes's office. And he had a VHS tape of the entire work print assembly of A Nightmare on Elm Street, with no final music or anything, but it has alternate takes and has time code and it's like temp music and not mixed, but it was his first cut of A Nightmare on Elm Street. I have it on VHS sitting in my other room. So he never asked for it back, and I never gave it back.
That's a smart move.
I've still got it on a shelf in the other room, and it would make a neat little extra if anybody was doing A Nightmare on Elm Street.
You hear that?
We didn't.
What do you mean? Do I hear that?
We didn't put it on the Laserdisc because obviously putting another Laserdisc with another 2-hour version of the movie would be unwieldy.
Yeah.
But with the digital media these days, it would make a neat little extra, and it's here.
I agree with you, and if it ever happens, I hope whoever does the special features gives you a call, whether it's me or somebody else.
I'm putting it out there for whoever is doing the special features on a possible Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray.
Yeah, I hope the person right beside of you in the screen decides to use that.
Why do you guys have to be such dicks all the time? I mean, really, we were having a nice conversation, and you had to bring this shit up again, and I don't, Nothing I ever going to say about these movies is even after the box set comes out someday, I'm going to be like, "Are you still working on Nightmare on Elm Street?" And I'm like, So no, I am.
Well, we've got to have something. I mean, we had the peanut butter solution for a while, and you let somebody else bring that out.
Okay, first of all, I let somebody bring it out.
Yeah,
I don't own the fucking movie. I don't.
Isn't that the movie with the kid that his pubic hair grows out of his shoes or something?
Yeah.
You wanted that out on Blu-ray.
They did.
So
It was a running gag that I don't even want to forget. But so I get
Let's got 2 Blu-rays actually.
You're gonna do peanut butter solution. You're gonna do munchies.
We do not have.
Don't forget Crazy Fat Ethel.
That one needs to.
Crazy Fat Ethel 2.
Yes.
I owned Crazy Fat Ethel 2 on Video Treasures VHS.
Jesus.
You know how much that tape would go for now if I got it graded? Oh my God.
Nocturna?
Thousands.
Where's Nocturna? Nobody's done Nocturna on Blu-ray yet.
Yeah, there's lots of movies that haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of stuff that's still it's making like a disc debut this year. What do you think the holdup is for some of these? I mean, we know the Kindred, what the holdup was with that, but Death Screams, I think, is one that's just now coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're still doing Creature from Black Lake, so that's another one. That's
a lot of these things,
out.
it's people who own the rights but don't have the paperwork, can't prove they own it, and even if they could, they don't know.
Nightmare. That's the nightmare.
Yeah.
That's
or they own it and they've got the paperwork, but they don't know where the elements are.
Yeah,
And
that's
just,
the problem.
Well, a lot of these companies now seem to just be fine using like a film print and clean the film print up as best they can. And
sometimes you have to.
Yeah, that's
because
all you got
there's
left.
nothing else.
It certainly beats a tape, but a film print is never anyone's first choice. No, never. No. But what are you going to do?
And sometimes that's probably impossible to find for some of these movies. I know a lot of people bring up Terror on Tour a lot, and we're talking about Home Sweet Home. I'd say that's probably what the issue is.
There's one they're asking about.
What about Three on a Meat Hook?
Oh,
you know?
Well, then there's
Three on a Meat Hook's another one.
Stepfather, they ask about Stepfather 2. The problem with Stepfather 2 always is that the DVD master had already been done. The elements are not with the rights holder. They don't have any of the film elements. I think I know where the film elements are, but the problem is they're with a company that has changed hands like 6 times in the past 5 years. So no one knows anything anymore. So who knows where they are?
Yeah. Yeah, they get lost.
I did not. Oh, Black Forest Cake. I feel like Black Forest Cake has a question. Did I do the Killer Party extras? No, I did not, and I don't know why Bill Fruitt wasn't interviewed. I know he's still around, but he was kind of a recluse, I guess. I don't know, because he wasn't on that, and he wasn't on the Blue Monkey release that came out a while back.
Is Killer Party a Warner Archive, or is that who's doing that?
Scream did that.
Okay.
Justin Beams worked on that.
Oh, Tag the Assassination Game.
Who's doing that? I have no idea.
No, I don't know either.
Yeah. So Tag has been scanned. Can't find the negative, but we found an intermediate, and it looks fairly decent. We've scanned it. We have not color corrected it yet because I like to do all my restoration work on the raw scans first. It's in restoration right now with a company in Burbank, and they've been working on it for about a month. Which reminds me, I should probably call them and ask them, what's happening with it. But we're Tag the Assassination Game is going to be coming out.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what the movie is, it's a sort of an action comedy thriller that was Nick Castle's first directorial effort.
Yeah, and it has Linda Hamilton and Bruce Abbott and Robert Carradine, and it's got a really good cast, and it's a lot of fun, and we were fortunate to be able to get it.
Never on VHS. Never was on VHS.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Carradine was telling me, he asked me, he goes, well, did this ever come out? And I said, you know what? I have no idea. And he goes, part of the deal that he had when he made the movie was they gave him like a 1-inch master of the movie that he still has, Wow. He's like, yeah, give me like a 1-inch master of the movie and he goes, you can use it if you want. And I'm like, nah, we're good. We got.
You know how big those 1-inch tapes are?
I know.
The size of a TV tray.
Right, exactly.
Death Weekend. I agree. Death Weekend is definitely one that has a great release.
Out in the UK. I actually had it right here.
Yeah, but they didn't have any decent elements to work with on that.
What's Lionsgate? I was wondering.
I know. It's one I've brought up with them. They have that through a catalog that we've got another couple titles out from. And the problem with Death Weekend is just finding good elements on that one. And that's Bill Fruitt too, actually.
Was that a public domain deal for a while too?
No. Will the Nightmare? What is that? No, I'm sorry, I don't see it. Will the box set on Nightmare on Elm Street have? Fuck you, pal. Look,
that's so cute.
Adam 80s fan.
I just dropped I laughed so hard my earpiece fell out.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, are they going to be done by?
I'm done. I'm done.
He's fucking out.
He's going to Bill O'Reilly.
Will Joe Robinson be finished? Will he be doing the cover art for Nightmare on Elm Street?
So have the different versions of Freddy on the cover.
Oh God!
Will each slipcover have the glove that he used in each movie? The different glove we featured on the slipcover. That'd be a great
I know what
idea.
the cover is going to be. It's going to be me with like doing this shit.
Part two, you can.
At least I didn't ask. It was somebody completely different.
Yeah, would you take that? Would you take that
people wanna
question
know.
off there, please?
They want to know.
I want to get a screenshot of it and then send it to Screen Factory. He's answering shit.
Hey, I can get my own. I can get in my own trouble with Screen Factory. I don't need your help.
That's true. All right, let's see. Where's that other one? Where's the other one? Shit.
Will the Nightmare on Elm Streets be remixed in Dolby Atmos?
Don't you start.
That's what they're working on right now, I think. That's the hold up.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if there's one thing that I can say is that the director's just kind of difficult to deal with. So
he's a big fan of Synapse.
Oh, he loves us. He loves us so much. He's a big fan. But no, I don't know. I mean, it's not in the cards, really. I mean, if we were putting out the DVD version legally, and he was like, sending us faxes and of pictures of George Bush and telling us that he knows George Bush and he's going to make it so that we'll never be able to fly international because Interpol will have us arrested.
Okay, so he's crazy. Like he's
that is absolutely true. He said that you will never be able to fly to Sweden because I'm going to have Interpol arrest you for. I hate to break it to him, but the only copyrights registered in the Copyright Office for Thriller or Cool Picture are ours. Sorry, dude. I mean, I would love to do it. And I know that the Swedish Film Institute has the negative there and that they've done their own. I think they showed their restoration of it at the Alamo Draft House maybe was it a year or two ago, maybe?
Maybe a couple more than that. I remember
it. Yeah. But even they're at a standstill because he's like, that's my movie. And they're like, well, then pay us for the restoration and you can have it. And he does. He's like, oh.
He's not crazy. He's eccentric.
Yeah, no, we sent him a royalty check, and he sent it back to us uncashed. And I'm like, dude, I mean, seriously, and it just. He's just very, he thought that Thriller was going to be his back when Kill Bill was out. He thought that, I remember there was an ad he placed in Swedish, like a film magazine or something, where he wanted like 100,000 to some crazy amount of money for the worldwide rights for Thriller or Cool Picture after Kill Bill came out. And I was like, he's never going to get that. It's just not going to happen. And it didn't. Mm-hmm. And, I love it. I love the movie. I love Christina. Christina's still friends with us, me and Jerry. And we made a movie with her. Jerry and I produced Black Circle, which stars Christina, which we'll be announcing shortly. There's a little exclusive for you. We're doing, we're getting the Blu-ray prepared now. It's Adrian Bagliano. He directed it, and I think it's really great. It was shot in Sweden, and she's a doll. I mean, Christina is amazing, and it's a shame that we can't just put out a Blu-ray of Thriller without facing the wrath of Bourne. He just doesn't want to play ball, and it's his choice. But it is what it is. So we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe someday we'll be able to do some. Maybe somebody else will be able to work out a deal with the Swedish Film Institute and Bourne. I know there's a couple of other companies that have tried, but they're like, no way.
No company wants to willingly drop in and have a relationship with someone who's nuts.
Right.
Just,
right. Yeah. Well, it's his baby. That Thriller is arguably, his one movie that people know, and it influenced a lot of films, and Kill Bill especially, and he's very protective of it. But the bottom line is, even if someone else legally owned the movie, he'd probably still give them grief about it. So it is, it's sad. I want to do it. I do. I want to put out a Blu-ray of Thriller, but if we do it, it's just going to open up I mean, there was one point where Bourne kept sending us fake emails from his fake attorney that was really him with
I can just see he puts on a suit and like his little briefcase and sends the email.
He had this alias that was him, but was somebody else, and I'm going to say it because it was the funniest fucking thing. Jerry sent him a picture of like a turd. And so we got this letter back from Bourne. We have it, I think it's hanging in our office somewhere. And Bourne is like, "Thank you for the picture of the turd. Everyone in my office got a real kick out of it." And we just hung it up on the wall in our office. And it was just like the funniest thing because, he was faxing us back in the days when faxes, he was sending us a picture of George Bush in a fax from Sweden. And it was like, it was like coming through. It was like 7 hours later. There's a picture of George Bush hanging off of our fax machine with a threat that he's going to call in. I know the Bush family, and I'm going to call Interpol
right.
on you.
Yeah, the Bush family's going to bother with that.
Right. So, look, I get it. He's upset. He tried to say that our license was not legit and everything else, but in fact it was. And we had to prove it to him with the paperwork. And then that just made him more angry. But, I don't know. I would love to. But it's a matter of working. I think, well, our version is actually really nice. I haven't seen the Swedish Film Institute's restoration of it, so I can't compare. But I think either one of them would be great on Blu-ray if it could happen.
Got a couple on here. Any TV shows or any series that you're looking to put out from? I know you guys have done a few over the years, and then the Argento movie Trauma from 1993.
I would love to do Trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of know who has it, but they just.
Yeah. It's
a mess.
It's a
mess.
As with all things, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Disney owned it or something.
Disney. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah. No, it's not Disney, I don't think.
No, it's not Disney. They'd be like, what the fuck?
Disney has Suspiria. Disney has all the other rights to Suspiria that we don't, So it's funny that we have video rights for Suspiria, but Disney owns everything else on that movie. But Trauma would be great. We get a lot of requests for that one, and I like the movie a lot. I really do. And I think it deserves to come out, but I don't know if. I mean, we're not the only people that have tried. Probably every label that's out there has probably tried to get Trauma at one point, and it's locked up in kind of a mess. But as far as TV shows, we've thought about it. There was a couple of years ago where a company had some like TV movies and TV shows that were a possibility, but they weren't really horror genre stuff, so we didn't do anything with that. But you never know. I mean, I would love to do some of that stuff like Dark Room and stuff like that. Dark Room would, that would be a cool one to have on Blu-ray, I think, because there was only like 8 or 10 episodes of that, wasn't there? Dark Room wasn't that ABC?
I think so.
Yeah. I would love to do that. I remember the Army Man episode where all the Army men and all the toys were attacking in the house. And that's the one I remember from my childhood. And, and then there was, what's the one with the episodic, with the Dracula, and there was like another episodic show that had like Dracula for 20 minutes and then another.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. There was like those kinds of shows I think would be a blast, but they're probably all locked up at the various studios.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you have anything else, UB?
No, I think 2 hours and 5 minutes is...
Oh, come on. We can make it 3 hours.
Let's go. Has anyone ever done a 24-hour chat?
That would be amazing.
Now that I've had my, a large amount of decaf coffee, which still has caffeine in it, I'm awake now.
Here you go. Here's the obligatory question. Deal with this.
Oh man, that's tied up. There's a big, that's a thing. That's a fucking thing with the.
Does Lionsgate have that or not?
No, that's tied up. All I can say about that is it's tied up because of something that happened with the remake. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And it's a big fucking mess, and no one wants to try to sort it out because there's not enough money. I don't know what it is, but it's a mess with that one. It's basically all I can say.
Yeah. That's too bad, because that's actually a really fun movie, too.
No, and I'd love to see a proper, restoration of that in widescreen and everything. And, I worked with, practically everybody who's in that movie or worked on that movie I've done interviews with before, so it'd be, could do a whole bunch of stuff for it, but, it's just...
Whatever happened to that girl that was the lead? She kind of
Tracy Lynn, she disappeared. Yeah, she got married and left the business. She doesn't really...
Yeah,
and she doesn't talk about. Yeah, she doesn't really talk about her acting career very often.
Yeah.
So,
there you go. There's one for you, Slavey.
Send that in to Cliff.
Can the Elm Street 2010 remake not be included in any box set? I agree with you. I think that movie's a pile of dog shit. So fuck it.
That movie. I don't know. Aren't they rebooting it again though? I heard.
Aren't they always going to reboot it? I assume everything's being rebooted at some point. But
I can't.
No. I don't know if it's going to be a part of any box set. I don't know.
Shit. Sure you don't, Sleepy. Sure you don't.
I know. Fuck you. Look, I knew this was going to happen when I came. I almost wanted to not do this because it's just going to be a bunch of Elm Street box set questions, and you two were just going to egg them on all night long, and you ended up doing just that. So I am officially no longer supporting DEADPIT.com.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm done. I am done. You know what? You no.
Hey, we can't help what other people ask.
No. It's not us. It's the fans.
Yeah. Did you see Uncle Bill's shirt up there?
What's his shirt? What's his shirt?
Oh. Shit in the box.
Oh my god.
That's a terrible shirt, by the way.
I'm going to shit in the box and mail it to you. God.
Shop.deadpit.com. You can pick your own shit in the box shirt.
Actually, it was amazing because when I saw that posted, you could actually hear the sound of you blowing up your relationship with Screen Factory. It was really quite amazing.
But look what came out of it. This lovely shirt.
Good for you.
Oh, that's awful.
Good for you, Olivia Rodrigo.
Do you get free screeners from them now? Because I doubt you will.
Oh yeah, all the time. Getting the free screeners. I'm pretty sure they blocked me from ordering anything at this point.
Yeah. You've got an IP ban on their website.
Yeah, I wouldn't order anything direct from them because there's going to be something in the box.
Yeah,
and it's not going to be something you're going to want. Yeah, that was. I remember seeing you post that, and I'm just like, well, that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
So cool. Gonna shit in a box of mail.
Oh God!
We're gonna relive that whole thing on another show coming up here. About we're doing like the releases in order for Scream Factory just because they've released so much fucking stuff over the years. So
when you get to Nightbreed, I'm sure this little incident.
Nightbreed is coming.
I don't even like Nightbreed that much, and it cost us our whole screener Scream Factory.
Well, what? Oh, Adam, 80s fan. Did you meet Robert Englund when you worked on the new Elm Street box set? Could you ban this guy, please?
I mean, I could.
Why would I want to do that? Here's another one. Does Uncle Bill have any pants on?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's an easy answer.
All right.
No, why have pants? Pants are for suckers, man.
That makes it easier for me to shit in the box I'm going to send to Scream Factory.
Oh, they're going to see this and I'm going to get in trouble somehow. I just know it. And it's not, I'm going to be like, it wasn't me. I don't condone it. I mean, I laughed my ass off at
You think they'll ever have like a change of heart where they'll be like, man, they've been talking about shitting in this box now for like 10 years. We should just start giving them shit again.
Oh, will they ever have a change of heart about you guys?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like
actually, I have a legit question, Mike. When is the Halloween's coming out?
I have no idea.
The 5th, I think.
Yeah,
October.
Because I know they got delayed because of replication stuff.
Well, again, I'm the last person to ask that because again, when I deliver my shit, I put it out of mind. And,
I ordered the big set with the poster, got the record and all that stuff because I wanted that, and they sent me Mike.
Could you put the unseen Halloween footage as an extra on the Nightmare on Elm Street box set?
That's from a different guy, Headquarters 10.
Oh, shit.
Yes, we got a whole group of...
I know who that is.
Headquarters 10, who is it?
I know who... That's Matt.
Is it Matt? Really?
That's Matt Kiernan.
Well, I'm gonna have to have some words with Matt.
I'm gonna put you...
Unless it's somebody impersonating Matt Kiernan.
How about I put you in timeout, you little son of a bitch, talk about getting old.
Matt's listening because he's going to have to field questions about us from the fans later.
I see. Well, I'm so glad he's joined in on the fun.
That's funny.
All right, guys.
Anyway.
We appreciate y'all taking the time out. I know
Absolutely.
It's way past Dawn's bedtime, but it's always fun catching up with you guys. And I think it's the first time we've had Felsher on in a few months. So
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll have to do it again when the Elm Street box set comes out, too.
I have a lot. But, poor Mike.
Look, we know it's coming out. We know you got something to do with it. I don't know why you do these things.
We know you can't say anything about it, but, you know, we're just going to...
Just tell everyone it's Justin Beam so they leave you alone.
I don't know what's going on. They don't talk to me. Okay, I get it. They'll call me up or they'll email me and say, do you want to work on this? And I say yes or no, and that's it. If they're working on a Nightmare on Elm Street box set, I have no
Well, whoever
idea.
is working on it, again, I have the work print in there, and it would make a great addition to the disc. If
you can point at him all you want. I know who that is. You don't need to point.
I'm pointing over there. I'm not
Got a bunch of Brady Bunch shit going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, get up with him about that.
Yeah.
No, shit.
Well,
all
right, but we got people on here. The people on here want us to go for another hour. I don't think that's going to happen, guys. But I do.
I don't care. if I stay up till 3, I can watch the new episode of Walking Dead, so I can stay up on AMC Plus.
Are there any other questions that are not related to the Elm Street box set?
There's a bunch of questions. That's more of a statement, but
people just thinking it's for the show.
We need more Actually, I'm glad, Mike. This Mike guy. I would love to do more spaghetti westerns. I thought Django the Bastard was a blast. And it's just a matter of people, getting us, if anybody has the rights to some of these, I would love to do them. I remember one time, Bill Lustig told me, he said, if there's one thing I learned in this business is to never put out spaghetti westerns. And, but if Django the Bastard didn't sell all that hot, but I had a blast working on it and I made it look great. And I put a lot of work into that and I love it. And I love that kind of stuff. And I would love to do more spaghetti westerns if we could. Mm-hmm. So maybe we have licensed another one with the same company that owns it has the Today We Kill, Tomorrow We Die. The problem is the licensor can't get a hold of the original materials. So I'm just kind of waiting. And maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't, or we'll just switch it out for a different title. But I want to do that one, but the materials here in the U.S. are really subpar, and all the negative materials are overseas, and they have to get it. So as soon as they can get the stuff for us, then maybe we can do it.
Cheerleader Camp is kind of tied up because with an ownership issue, and then the director died. So it's kind of...
what about Summer Camp Nightmare? Somebody else mentioned that. That's never been out.
Yeah, that's another issue where there's an ownership dispute. But I would love to see that one come out. That's a really good film. I like Summer Camp Nightmare. Yeah. It's a terrible title for that movie. But it's because it's not. It makes it sound like a Friday the 13th ripoff, and that's not what it is. But,
Supersonic Man, what the hell is that?
I don't know what that is.
Well, I don't know if he does either. I don't know if he does either because there's a question mark at the end of it. Supersonic Man?
Maybe that's like, maybe that's a Vinegar Syndrome.
Oh God, the Granny.
4K.
Jesus, there's all kinds.
Holy shit! There's
Fortress
the Granny
1985. That's when I go to.
Yeah.
The Rachel Ward.
The transfer on, it's on YouTube, I think. So of course it's not very good. But
there's a Blu-ray of it out, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that someone did.
Because I have a Blu-ray of that from a foreign country. I think.
I think it's from Australia, an Australian release. I think.
Yeah.
Now there's a Christopher Lambert version. But
that's the Stuart Gordon movie. That was done later.
Yeah.
But Future Kill. Now that was one I worked on way back in the day. The problem with Future Kill is the elements. They only had a print, I think, to work with for the DVD, and that was in kind of rough shape. Mm-hmm. And as Don mentioned, what passes for a good DVD transfer will not work today, and trying to do something with that has been problematic. So I would. Now, Prom Night 2, we know who owns that, but they're not talking. So
yeah, yep, that's a problem.
Yeah, because I love Prom Night 2. I would love.
Yeah, Prom Night 2 is great.
Oh, it's fantastic. I would love to.
Yeah, that one's never been out on anything either. Well, video.
Well,
it was on Laser. There was a laser disc.
MGM did a DVD of it.
Oh, okay. I don't know the DVD.
It was out for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then it did show up on a couple of Echo Bridge 10 packs. I remember it was out there, but then Echo Bridge kind of faded into the breeze. And
now this is great. A 4K Toxic Avenger box set.
You
totally
listen to me. Yeah. No, listen. It's funny. Who is this? I was just talking about that to somebody the other day. How I would love to, because I'm in Toxic Avenger 4, so it would be fun to do that. I have actually talked to Lloyd about doing a Toxic Avenger 4K. And
the remake's coming out, so...
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's why Lloyd's probably going to wait. and probably do it himself, But no, I would love to do that. I think it would be great. I mean, I love part 1 and part 4, obviously. I would absolutely do that in the second. And as far as other companies, it says you're collaborating with other companies. We are. I mean, we sort of collaborated with Aero on the Demons release. So maybe that'll develop into something else in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But we're talking,
Basket Case. We were talking about that the other day too.
Mm-hmm.
So a remastered version of that movie would be good. I think Aero did the last.
Yeah, but that was shot on 16, wasn't it? So even if you did a 4K on that, I mean, I know they just did the 4K on Hills Have Eyes, and there's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff like that. But doing a 4K on something that's like 16 millimeter, it's
there's only so much detail you can pull out of that, unfortunately.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
now I would love to see a better Blu-ray of The Hidden, but that's Warner Brothers. So
yeah,
The Hidden is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I just watched the Blu-ray of that the other day, and I thought it looked kind of dull. The Blu-ray itself wasn't. It didn't.
Well, I don't think they brought in Jack or Jacques to do any of the color timing.
It just kind of. It was cool to see it on Blu-ray finally, but I just felt like.
I would just love to do it because I love working with Jack Shoulder. I've worked with him a couple times, and I just worked with him on Alone in the Dark.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun. So Jack's a great guy. He's just so much fun to work with. So I would love to do it just for that. But I think that's a great movie. That's just such a
was
awesome.
I think the other one was Tourist Trap. Was that 16 millimeter too, or?
I
don't know.
That one always looked rough.
It looks like it's 60. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but it looks like it.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I know they came out with that Blu-ray where they just put the up-resed extra footage into it, and called it the uncut version.
Well, it's interesting. Did you see the news that George Feltonstein's back over at Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Which that's really cool.
Yeah, I know. I kind of knew that was happening, though. I just didn't say anything.
Oh, oh, really? Okay, well, fine.
Shit. Wow.
There was a lot of that. Well, I work at Warner Brothers on a lot of stuff. So I knew that there were grumblings about bringing him back.
Well, what else do you know over Warner Brothers that you're not telling us?
That you're doing Nightmare on Elm Street.
You know how you're talking about, you got gray hair and all that shit. At least you have hair, motherfucker. Look at this shit.
True. I know.
Look what I got saddled with.
Yeah, I know. But no, it's it's great. I mean, I think he was the driving force behind Warner Archive, and he needs. And they're doing some more stuff.
I did not work with Jack Shoulder on the Nightmare.
That is right.
I did. On Nightmare on Elm Street too. That's funny.
I would love to get a better Chainsaw 3 too. I would love to do a full special edition of Chainsaw 3. I've done special editions of so many Chainsaw movies.
Well, did you do 4, Felsher?
I did do 4. Was a rough one, man. That was a really rough experience because the studio was still so gun shy over Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. Even though neither McConaughey and Zellweger have had any problems talking about that movie. They have pleasant memories of it, but people around them are still so fucking paranoid about it that the studio was like, you can't even mention them in the featurettes. You can't even have clips of them in the featurettes. It got that fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it just made that whole thing.
Couldn't you just ask them?
Oh, we did. We tried to get a hold of both of them, and neither, of course, the people around them never let them through.
And there's a killer documentary on it.
Oh yeah, we tried to use that too.
Yeah, I remember asking you about that.
Couldn't use it.
Very unusual for that time period that they would film that. I don't know.
Well, it was a friend. It was a local Texas filmmaker there who I think was also a friend of Kim Henkel's, who was just there, and he shot all that stuff, and we couldn't use it. Couldn't use any of that. That was a. I mean, I love working with Kim Henkel, and all the people from the movie who came to do interviews and stuff were wonderful, just great. But the studio's attitude, not Scream Factory, but the studio that licensed them the movie, they're still just scared to death about McConaughey and Zellweger's people and blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, give me a fucking break already.
We were talking about this. We did like a watch-along of that movie not too long ago. Was there some sort of legal, when that movie first came out, that they tried to like keep from...
Yeah, what happened with that movie was it was an odd bit of timing because that movie was made back in like 93, 94, somewhere in there. And then it sat around for a while because it was a very low-budget production. They didn't have a distributor in place. And eventually when they did, it just happened to coincide with McConaughey getting ready to come out with A Time to Kill, and not long before Renee Zellweger was going to hit it big with Jerry Maguire. Mm-hmm. And so Sony had got it, and they were going to release it out, you know, to kind of capitalize on this. And then, like I said, Zellweger and McConaughey's people all got paranoid that this little chainsaw movie was going to fuck up, you know, McConaughey and Zellweger's launch into stardom with these movies. So they did everything they could to just say, you can't use Zellweger's name to promote it, you can't use him on the cover, you can't do this, you can't do that. And so the movie just kind of got shuffled off to home video, and that was the end of it. But over the years, you've seen countless interviews with McConaughey and Zellweger where it's come up, and they're more than happy to discuss it. And at this point, they're both fucking Oscar winners. What do they give it? I mean, it's like... Yeah. And McConaughey especially has been like, you know, it was a great opportunity. I was really about to give up, and I got this lead role in this movie, and I had, you know, they all have very pleasant memories of the movie. And I got to be honest with you, they've both made worse movies than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4. I mean, have you seen some of those Bridget Jones's sequels? Christ. I mean, it's like... So at the end of the day, I just thought it was really cowardly on the studio's part that they couldn't go, oh, come on, it's been 20 years. Who gives a shit? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that was that. But I've done stuff for the first Chainsaw. I had tons of stuff on the second Chainsaw. I did Chainsaw 4, and then I did the Chainsaw 3D. So I got me a lot of Chainsaw stuff. And
when's that new one? When's the new one coming out?
Oh, the Netflix one?
It's a Netflix one now, so who knows when that's going to be. Probably Halloween, I would guess. I would think. But yeah.
I'm interested in seeing that.
Yeah. But that was, and also, was Kim Henkel hesitant to do the commentary? No, he wasn't at all. A funny little story about that I will tell quickly. He has some regrets about the movie because he wasn't going to direct it originally, and so they just ended up not being able to get a director, so he stepped in. And, you know, he hasn't talked about it in a long time, and he's a very laconic, kind of laid-back guy anyway. So it wasn't that he was uneasy talking about it, it's just that, you know, he just kind of has his own way about him. Wonderful guy. I can't say enough good things about Kim. The funny thing he's down in Austin, right? And I have a little recording studio that I use down there for commentaries whenever I have to do something in Austin, but they weren't available to do the Chainsaw Next Generation commentary. And I then had to go on a search all over town to try to find a place, and either they were closed or booked or weren't available or didn't do that sort of thing. And I finally found this one little sound studio. And I contacted the guy, I said, I need to record a commentary for this movie on this Saturday at this time. Can you do it? And he went, sure. How many people are coming? Such and such, and 3 people, whatever. I didn't tell him what the name of the movie was. And then I got back with Kim and said, I finally found a place. It's this place over here. And he comes back, he says, you're kidding, right? I'm like, what do you mean? The guy who runs that studio did the sound mix for the movie. I found somehow... Through complete dumb luck, I found the one guy who actually did the sound mix for Chainsaw Generation, who's now running a sound studio where the commentary is going to be recorded. As it was just like, you got to be kidding. And then when I contacted the sound studio guy back and said, by the way, this is for Chainsaw 4, he went, oh, shit. And it was just like, okay, so it was like, the chances of that happening were just ridiculous. So I always thought that was hilarious.
Last question. Any chance of Drop Dead Fred coming to Blu-ray?
That's yes. Mean. That's really mean.
The answer is yes.
Yeah. Someone's going to do it at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to happen, but I don't have any inside information on that.
Watch the speculation begin.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's doing it.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, guys, but it's been
They're not
fun.
going to let that transfer just sit around.
No, and all the extras that were done and everything. Oh yeah.
Nope, it ain't. It's going to come out.
Someone will do it. You know.
Yeah.
All right, guys, but we appreciate everybody checking the show out, and you guys join us. We will definitely have to touch base again in a few months. There's always more stuff to talk about on these shows, and people seem to love this sort of thing. So
You know what? I actually hope, I really hope, that they announce a fucking box set of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I don't.
somebody.
Just so, I don't care who the fuck it is at this point. Just so that people will stop asking these questions.
Mill Creek. Yeah.
Yeah, Mill Creek. Yeah, Mill Creek.
That would be the best thing. Mill Creek was like.
I would at this point.
It'd
I'd
probably be
fine
better
with
than
it.
that last set they had out. So.
Yeah. That's funny.
God.
So, yeah.
All right.
No, it was fun. I'd love to come back anytime you guys want me to.
Sure.
Yeah, this
you're
was
always welcome.
this was fun mostly.
Oh, all right.
All right, guys. We appreciate
guys.
it. We'll see
Thank
you all
you.
next time. DEADPIT.
All right.
.com.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.